Welcome to the show, everybody. This is LTMB Live. Let the madness begin. It's a new week. We are here on December 17, 2019. Almost the end of the month. Almost 2020. It's coming right around the corner.
Christmas is next week.
Christmas is next week. Yeah. New Year's following that. Lot going on, especially the impeachment proceedings, the shenanigans, the defenses, all of that good stuff. Good thing we don't have any hearings to go over, so no like 1,800 videos to show you, anything like that. So that was a little bit of a break that I enjoyed. Broadcasting live on YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope Live. Thank you for everybody that is joining us on tonight's program and everybody that will at some point swing by. Like we said, a lot going on in the news, of course, like always. We've been following along what's been going on for the past 5 days in terms of the impeachment situation. So we're definitely going to get to that. Gonna get to some cases of police brutality.
Haven't covered a lot of those lately.
Have not covered that. But yeah, this is definitely an opportune time to talk about a little bit of that. What else? Still a lot to do with the impeachment. Of course, that's where we're gonna begin. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. Let's start with some news that came out a few days ago involving the U.S. Supreme Court. So we have been talking about this. There have been several cases, 3 cases involving an effort to obtain the financial records of President Donald Trump by House Democrats and a New York City prosecutor. So, the U.S. Supreme Court recently granted President Trump's request to hear cases involving President Trump's financial records, including his tax returns. So now there are these 3 pending cases before the United States Supreme Court. And so that they are, because they are taking the cases now, these cases will be halted. Of course, before this decision, lower courts had ruled that President Trump and, specifically his tax preparer had to turn over those documents. So that's going to be halted now until the final word comes from these Supreme Court justices. And that means that again, everything's on hold. It's presumed that, the cases are going to be heard in March of next year. So that's about 3 months from now, and then it's presumed that a decision will not come until June. So that's 6 months.
Right around summertime, almost around summertime.
That's correct.
We were wondering whether the Supreme Court was even going to, take the case, right? Mm-hmm. And go against the ruling of the lower courts.
Yes.
Because the lower court rulings were lawful.
Yes.
So why would you take it? Why would you take it unless the ruling that came from the lower courts did not follow the law?
Right. In case there was some sort of precedent that is there, something that you can point to in law that suggests that President Trump has a right to withhold these financial records from the House Democrats and New York City, prosecutor in New York City. I don't see anything in the law. Again, pertaining to the Congress, the article is very clear. I mean, the law is very clear. Shall be provided to Congress. I mean, it doesn't state a reason that Congress has to give. They shall be provided these documents if they so request this information.
Okay. The Supreme Court is in a tough position. Well, not the Supreme Court. I would say the Republicans or conservatives. Not the whole Supreme Court, right. But the conservatives on the Supreme Court, Republicans on the Supreme Court that are partisan are in a tough position here. Because if they don't take the case, what does that look like to Trump?
that they don't have his back.
Oh no, no. Exactly. So they either have to protect Trump, all right? Protect Trump, and at the same time go against the law. You can't do both.
Well, look, they have not officially done that yet, gone against the law. They are just saying that they're going to hear the case. Now, I don't see that there's anything that is relevant here, anything in the law that would suggest that he has a case. It doesn't make any sense in the world why they would be hearing this case. It does not make any sense. It should be clear and cut. They should get the records. But okay, so they're going to take the case. They're going to hear it in March. Expect the decision in June. Of course, we have two possible outcomes. They rule in favor of Trump or they rule against Trump. If they rule in favor of Trump, that will be setting a new precedent.
Not only will it set a new precedent, they will be cementing their legacies.
They would.
As justices. In a bad way. Because they're going
legacies
against the law. So again, they have to do both. They have to protect Trump and go against the law. The only way that they can protect Trump is to go against the law.
They will be cementing their legacies as personal counsel for President Trump.
So
allies on the bench.
But what do they lose if they go against Trump? It's not like they're elected.
No, they're not. They're not.
Trump can't remove them from the Supreme Court.
No, he can't. He can talk bad about them as much as he wants to, but he wouldn't be able to remove them.
I don't think that matters, though. I don't think they want all that smoke in the air anyway.
Yeah, they don't want that negative stigma. Just because with Trump comes a lot of that, like you said, all that smoke, all that
bluster, that boisterous,
all that
chest pumping.
Exactly. These are people that are supposed to be non-political, apolitical, but we know better than that. We're just gonna have to see where it goes. The impeachment proceedings, I don't suspect is going to play out that long. We're going to go into some more detail about that, but I don't assume that it's going to go all the way into June. So it's going to be done by then. This sets up a scenario here to where it depends on which way it goes. If they end up protecting Trump and he doesn't have to turn over those records, then I guess you wipe it away. You just everything's gone. If they don't, if they actually follow the law and say that President Trump has to turn over these records, just because of the effort from President Donald Trump all these years to prevent the disclosure of these records, and just knowing who Trump is and has been as a business person, and as President of the United States, I'm expecting there to be some type of, corruption, some type of illegal behavior, some type of fuzzy numbers, something like that. I don't know. I'm expecting there to be
some unsavory financial behavior.
Yes, it would not surprise me.
You think he's like playing I don't know, some sort of chess game here? You think he's just playing like there is something in there just so people and just so Democrats can kind of, be suspicious?
I don't think he's that good at chess.
And it's just like this big reveal. Yeah. See, there's nothing there. Just kind of play this long game, play this to the end, because that's been the narrative this whole time, that Trump has something to hide in his taxes or his finances.
Trump is a con man.
True. But what if what he has to hide is actually not that bad? It's not illegal. It's only, something that would hurt his ego. That wouldn't mean anything.
No, I mean, so look, in today's world of politics and in today's just unlimited support of President Trump by his base, I doubt it would mean too much. Even if it did hurt his ego, even if it did make the case that he's not as rich as what he says he is.
But see, I don't think that would actually hurt him. I mean, if
it would hurt him personally. Personally.
But if it doesn't hurt him electorally,
right?
I don't think it matters much. In the end, if it hurts Trump's feelings, what does that really do for us?
But if there is something in there, and again, these impeachment proceedings, everybody expects that it will be done by that time. Could we see Could it be possible that we see a second impeachment of President
It depends
Donald
on
Trump?
what's in those financial
It depends
records.
on what's in the records.
I'm just like, I don't know. There's like just off chance that it's just like he's like kind of playing like the
I'm not giving him
carrot on the stick.
I'm not playing. I'm not giving that much credit because he would have had to plan this. What 2015? He planned this in 2015.
You know, he
The
has
stable genius.
He has advisors. He has people who can outline a strategy. Hey, how won't you just hold this carrot out and just build up all this tension and make it look like you got something to hide?
Yeah.
And then there's a big reveal, and it's like, see?
He's a con man.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying it's possible. I don't believe that's the case.
No, I don't either.
I don't believe that's
your
the
attempt
case.
at playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, well, I don't even want to say devil's advocate. Just trying to like look at like all angles. You know what I'm saying? But we all know that Trump doesn't even know what's good for him.
No.
And usually, if he gets involved in some sort of legal battle to try to cover something up, you know he has something to hide.
True.
Because if there was something in there that made him look good, boy, he would be like putting that out everywhere.
Exactly.
He putting ads on TV.
He's a media figure. Of course, he would celebrate that news.
It would be like it would be on the White House
proof
lawn.
of his success, proof of how wonderful he is.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. All right. So recently, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer requested testimony from Senator Chuck Schumer requested testimony from a few different individuals, 4 different individuals to be exact. And this is pertaining to the upcoming Senate trial that is expected once the House goes forward with an impeachment vote. So the 4 that Senator Schumer wants to hear from in the Senate trial is former National Security Advisor John Bolton, acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney, Senior Advisor to Mulvaney Robert Blair, and Office of Management and Budget official Michael Duffy. These are people, of course, we have not heard from. These are people that have firsthand knowledge of particularly the hold of the security assistance to Ukraine. So, of course, there's going to be an effort to try to get these individuals to testify. Now, there's already been an effort to get these individuals to testify, but the White House and President Donald Trump has obstructed the process and has refused to cooperate with any form of these proceedings whatsoever, has failed to produce documents, has failed to allow significant individuals to testify before the House. So this comes as no surprise. Now, we know that the Senate is controlled by the Republican Party, so ultimately it's going to be on the Republican Party to set the rules for the impeachment trial. So this is why before the impeachment vote is ultimately, done in the House, Chuck Schumer is trying to, lay out the specifics, lay out the groundwork for how this is going to commence, how what the structure of this trial is going to be like. Okay, well, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, in a long speech in the Senate, he denied that request. So we have a clip of that speech that we would like to show.
So now, the Senate Democratic leader would apparently like our chamber to do House Democrats' homework for them. He wants to volunteer the Senate's time and energy on a fishing expedition to see whether his own ideas could make Chairman Schiff's sloppy work more persuasive than Chairman Schiff himself bothered to make it. So, Madam President, this concept is dead wrong. The Senate is meant to act as judge and jury, to hear a trial, not to rerun the entire fact-finding investigation because angry partisans rushed sloppily through it. The trajectory that the Democratic leader apparently wants to take us down, before he's even heard opening arguments, could set a nightmarish precedent for our institution. If the Senate volunteers ourselves to do House Democrats' homework for them, we will only incentivize an endless stream of dubious partisan impeachments in the future. And we will invite future Houses to paralyze future Senates with frivolous impeachments at will.
Well, could you remind me of something?
Mm-hmm.
Where does impeachment occur?
Well, the impeachment process starts in the House.
Yeah, but like the final place, final resting place, where the president can either be convicted or not.
That would be the Senate.
That would be the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
Is that unprecedented? Is this a new thing?
Well, okay, so this is not surprising coming from Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. His contention is that we have not even had the impeachment vote yet. Also, we're not going to do, and you heard him say, we're not going to do the homework of the House Democrats. You know, Schiff had sloppy work, so we're not going to aid his investigation. We're not going to, I guess, aid the fact-finding part of this process because that's not their job. Their job is to act as the jury. Now, he did say that it's not proper to make this request right now, and it shouldn't be coming from Senator Chuck Schumer. It should be coming from the House prosecutor who's going to, in effect, try the case against President Donald Trump. But again, I don't think this is surprising because we know that they don't want to hear from these key witnesses. They don't want to hear from them whatsoever. And what aids them in saying something like this, what aids Mitch McConnell in saying something like this, is that President Trump effectively shunned all attempts to produce any documents or witnesses. So he's kind of bemoaning the fact that, hey, well, hold on, House Democrats, you didn't go to court. That's your fault. You wanted to speed through this process. You didn't go to court to try to force President Trump to produce these witnesses, produce these documents. So since you didn't do that, you're not going to do it here.
Actually, Republicans could use this opportunity to exonerate Trump. They don't have to. They don't have to, go about it in a way that gives credence to, what Adam Schiff and the Democrats have presented as evidence. That's not what the Senate trial is actually for. Mm-hmm. It's not like the Senate trial by default is an agreement with what Adam Schiff and the Democrats have presented as evidence. That's what McConnell is making it out like. By doing this and by going through the process of a Senate trial, it automatically means that Donald Trump is guilty. That's why he says we're not going to do the work, fact-finding. And I'm like, maybe you should do the, let's say, not necessarily fact-finding, but present exculpatory evidence that would make these facts not facts, that would debunk the evidence that has been presented. You can do that.
Yeah, but they don't have any interest. I don't presume that they have any interest in actually trying to prove that President Donald Trump is innocent. They just want to suggest that he is, they just want to suggest that he's innocent without proving it. All they want to do is, I guess, criticize the Democratic Party for insinuating that he is guilty. So they're not going to try to put on a show to prove his innocence because we know that doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. That evidence doesn't exist.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. Because if I was accused of something, if I was accused of abusing my power, right? Mm-hmm. Boy, oh boy, by the other party,
yeah,
and they brought all these witnesses in, a testimony,
right?
I guess to speak to the accusations,
and you knew you had the goods,
and I had the goods. I had exculpatory evidence that would get me off. You know what I would do? I'd be like, okay, bet. A public event, highly publicized, heavily watched event.
Right.
It most likely watched by the world, not the United States.
Not just the United States.
Not just the United States. Right. And I had the opportunity to go on a big stage, a huge stage, and exonerate myself. Oh boy, my chest would be poked out. My head would be high. I would have, matter of fact, I would probably come with like all the exculpatory evidence attached to me. Like on this side, under this arm. I'd probably wear a suit that had all the evidence that made me innocent. I'd wear an innocent suit. And I would want that to be very public and be very loud. That would be a great opportunity to prove in front of everybody. Like, yo, I'm out. I'm off. I'm exonerated.
The strategy that they're trying to employ, I think it would probably be best suited for something that really doesn't matter. If in my personal life or anybody's personal life, let's say it's at school, let's say it's at, I don't know, you ran into somebody. Let's say somebody bumped into you on the street, right? And then they're trying to say, hey, no, you bumped into me. And then you're like, no, I didn't. No, I know I didn't. And you know that I got that camera right there, right? I know the camera's right there that can prove it to me. But why am I going to go through all that? Because this doesn't matter. This doesn't matter whatsoever. Sure. Like, why am I going to go through the hassle of trying to prove it to you? I don't care about
you. It's a random interaction.
It doesn't mean anything. But when you're the highest executive in the land, when you're the president of the United States and you're being accused of being guilty of using your power, using the office to solicit another country, a foreign country, to aid your re-election campaign.
Yeah, I think the two articles are abuse of power and obstruction.
Yes. When these are the charges, when it's this much of a spectacle, and when you're this type of celebrity, when you're this type of political figure, you can't just say, brush it off. Hey, all we have to say is, nope, there's nothing there. All we have to say is, no. You can't just do that. You actually have to put on a case. Because people are presuming that you are guilty because there has been a case that's been presented. Now, you have precluded a lot of people from testifying. You have precluded documents from coming out, but there have still been witnesses that have testified, and they've made a pretty sound case to your guilt, as to your guilt.
See, you know what
so you can't just not do anything.
You know what he's treating this like? He's treating this situation like it's hearsay. And if it was hearsay, oh yeah, you can just sit this one out.
Yeah.
And I would agree with it. But obviously, we're not going through this process because of hearsay. Mm-hmm. We're going through this process because there have been credible witnesses to come forth and give testimony that kind of shows that Trump was engaged in some illicit behavior here. So we're not involved in hearsay. So you can't just sit this one out. Or you just can't protest the process.
Yeah, but that's exactly what they're trying to do. So all the while that President Trump has been signaling that he wants this process to commence because he believes that it will be good for him politically. He's going to use this to get reelected. He's been saying that for some time now. On Tuesday, though, he sent a letter. He sent a 6-page letter to Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. And to summarize this letter in maybe a few words, President Trump wanted Nancy Pelosi to stop the impeachment process. And that was the theme of the letter.
It was a 4-page...
No, 6-page, right?
Was it 6?
I thought it was 6. Yeah, I think it was 6. I don't know, whatever.
I thought it was, well, whatever. It doesn't matter because the whole entire letter was just him whining.
Yeah, it was.
It wasn't, when I read it, like, after probably like the 5th paragraph, it was kind of it was an overview of all the arguments that Donald Trump and Republicans have been using. It was a kind of an overview of how they feel about this whole process. Like, it was just an overview of what we already heard. Yep. It's the same stuff.
We have a few snippets that we'd like to share with you. So let's pick this up a little bit into it. So President Donald Trump is saying here, by proceeding with your invalid impeachment, you are violating your oaths of office, you are breaking your allegiance to the Constitution, and you are declaring open war on American democracy. You dare to invoke the Founding Fathers in pursuit of this election nullification scheme, yet your spiteful actions display unfettered contempt for America's founding, and your egregious conduct threatens to destroy that which our founders pledged their very lives to build. Even worse than offending the founding fathers, you are offending Americans of faith by continually saying, I pray for the president, when you know the statement is not true, unless it is meant in a negative sense. It is a terrible thing you are doing, but you will have to live with it. Not I.
All that's funny, because both parties invoke the founding fathers, for the most part. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The Constitution, duty, and all this bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Or the whole angle of prayer. I'm praying for you. You know?
They always
do that. Yeah. So it's
no matter if it's a political supporter or an opponent.
Yeah. So he seems to be outraged about something irrelevant, invoking the founding fathers in prayer. Who cares? Yes.
But he's disgusted with her behavior and her words. That's why he's not going to be dealing with the negative impacts. She is. That's what he said at the end. Not I.
But boxing, MMA fighting. What do you see leading up to a fight between the two opponents? Between the two opponents, what do you see leading up to a fight? Nothing but trash talk.
Yeah.
Right?
To drum up some interest in the fight.
Drum up some interest.
Yeah.
Both fighters are like, yo, we both want this. We want this process. We want this fight.
Yeah, we wanted more than that guy over there.
We wanted more than this guy. We're going to prove to you that we're winners. We're a winner. We're the best. We're the ones in the right. Right? We're the prize fighter, right? Now, if that's the case for both fighters would show up, which usually happens, right? Both fighters would do everything they can so this event can take place. They wouldn't stall. They would show up, right? So if one fighter who's been woofing this whole time doesn't want to show up to the fight, what does that say?
He's got a lot of mouth, though. Got a lot of mouth, but won't show up to the fight.
Got a lot of mouth, but won't show up to the fight. So if he claims he wants this process to go forth, then he would participate in it fully.
Yeah.
Fully. He would participate in it fully.
At least in some regard. Not completely distance yourself from it.
See, what he means, what Trump means when he says it's going to work out for him, he's telling us that regardless of what this process reveals, I'm going to spin it. I'm going to lie. I'm going to deny it.
That's what he does.
I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it for my own political gain, and I'm going to kind of spin it in a way that appeals to my base alone. That's it. And that's all he cares about. And that's all he thinks exists, which may hurt him in the end.
It's possible. It's definitely possible. So let's go on to another section here. You are turning a policy disagreement between two branches of government into an impeachable offense. It is no more legitimate than the executive branch charging members of Congress with crimes for the lawful exercise of legislative power. A policy disagreement. You're turning a policy disagreement into an impeachable offense.
What's the problem with that, Will? Because he's characterizing this whole debacle
into
this political tragedy. This political tragedy. He's characterizing it as a policy disagreement. No, and what was that last part where you said legislative?
Yeah. The last part says, charging members of Congress with crimes for the lawful exercise of legislative power. So basically he's saying that he had a lawful right to withhold the security assistance for whatever reason.
I'm cool if he has a policy disagreement. But why didn't he disagree with that policy when Congress passed the budget that included the aid? Right? He could have disagreed with it when Congress, both Democrats and Republicans, agreed on the aid to Ukraine. If it was a policy disagreement, why didn't he present his disagreement to Congress?
And when
to his policy makers.
Right. And then when the Pentagon and the State Department certified that Ukraine has done enough to receive the aid in terms of rooting out corruption in the country, why didn't he present something saying to his own agencies, no, I don't agree because of this, because of that, because of this?
Are policy disagreements frowned upon? Policy disagreements are regular.
Yes, they are.
They happen every day.
Yeah, but this wasn't a policy disagreement.
But let's just say it is, since he characterized it as a policy disagreement. Then guess what you do? You try to get things amended.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah. You don't contact the foreign country.
You address it officially and say, hey, I don't like this. And I don't like this because of this reason. Hey, I got some people out here. I got some of my own advisors. This is what they figured out. I need y'all to look at this. I don't agree with this because I have a policy disagreement. We need to work to see what we can change about this policy or about this legislation. The president doesn't have sole legislative power, and he did not go about unilaterally holding this aid legislatively. So
Joe Biden is not a policy disagreement. CrowdStrike is not a policy disagreement whatsoever. All right, so another section. You know full well that Vice President Biden used his office and $1 billion of U.S. aid money to coerce Ukraine into firing the prosecutor who was digging into the company, paying his son millions of dollars. You know this because Biden bragged about it on video. Biden openly stated, I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I looked at them and said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor is not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch, he got fired. Even Joe Biden admitted just days ago in an interview with NPR that it looked bad. Now you are trying to impeach me by falsely accusing me of doing what Joe Biden has admitted he actually did. Now, we've talked about this before. There's many differences between what Joe Biden did and what President Trump did. First of all, Joe Biden was not the president of the United States of America. He had the full weight of the United States government behind him. He had the IMF behind him. He had the whole West behind him. He had the parliament and Ukraine behind him. Also, a relative fact as well. Shokin was dirty. Shokin was not actually investigating Burisma. And so by extension, he was not investigating Hunter Biden. So, I mean, these are all relevant facts that you have to note, because if you're going to try to equate these two things, well, hold on. Well, what you're saying Trump did is actually what Joe Biden did. No. Joe Biden, and I've said before, because his son was working at the board, it does look like it's possible, conflict of interest. We can say that all day long. I don't like it. I don't even like that Hunter Biden had the position, because it does seem as though he had that position because of Joe Biden's name. We can all say this, but I'm talking about what they're trying to present here, what President Trump and other Republicans are trying to present, that there was a quid pro quo, an illicit, illegal quid pro quo that was delivered by Joe Biden. No, it was with the full weight of the U.S. government. Everybody knew. But the way President Trump did it was with Rudy Giuliani, his personal attorney, leading things. This was not the State Department knowing. This was not the Pentagon knowing. No, it was done under the table because it was not appropriate.
Again, if he's trying to present his case against Joe Biden and against Hunter Biden, if he's trying to present his case as legitimate, why didn't you bring that up?
Yeah.
Why didn't you bring that up before you held the aid? Right? Because now he's presenting this as a legitimate case. But this is after his little political tragedy. This is after the dust up.
Yep.
This didn't come up till after his little stupid ass agenda folded and failed. It didn't come up till after. So they're trying to present this now, Republicans and Donald Trump, as kind of the foundation behind, hey, we're trying to get rid of corruption, and Joe Biden and Hunter Biden were the beginning of that. Okay, if you're trying to present that as a legitimate case now, then it should have been presented as a legitimate case from the beginning. It just doesn't make sense.
If it was an appropriate, legitimate defense, then it would have led.
We're not saying it's not appropriate and legitimate. Right. We kind of are, but even if we weren't saying that, by how they're approaching this now, they are saying it was inappropriate and illegitimate. Because if it was appropriate and legitimate, they would have come at that they would have come at it this way from the start.
Right. And again, this whole thing with Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, his son, working for Burisma, he started working there in 2014. Everybody had already known about this. When Joe Biden made those comments, it was January of 2018. President Trump had plenty of time to say something about it in 2018 before the aid in 2018 was delivered to Ukraine, but he didn't. He waited until 2019 when Joe Biden started running for president. All right, so the last excerpt of this love letter to Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. You are the ones interfering in America's elections, Democrats. You are the ones subverting America's democracy. You are the ones obstructing justice. You are the ones bringing pain and suffering to our republic for your own selfish, personal, political, and partisan gain. Boy, if that's not
projection,
my goodness. If that's not classic narcissistic behavior, he's the victim. He's the one that set all these pieces in motion. He's the one that tried to get it done. He got caught, but he's the one that tried to get a political favor done for him by a foreign country. He's the one that set this all in motion, but boo-hoo, cry him a river, blame the Democrats for trying to hold him accountable. He's the victim. Yo, this is funny, man.
But this is classic Trump. The entire letter is like this.
It is.
I mean, I don't know what I was expecting. I thought it was going to be some kind of newfound sentiment that he had. Because this is an official letter to Pelosi. So I thought he was going to outline something like that was just more concrete. And it really wasn't. It was the same old stuff.
Yeah, it was. It was, and like you said at the beginning too, it's just funny that, all this while he has been saying, bring it on. Effectively, he's been saying, bring it on. Woofing. Talk about, I'm going to use this politically, because of your behavior, I'm going to get reelected.
It's like
But then he sends Nancy Pelosi a letter saying, please don't. don't impeach me. You don't want to do this.
He's doing, like when somebody act like they want to fight and they hold me back. Like Trump is like the epitome of the hold me back dude, the hold me back guy.
It's pathetic, man. It's pathetic. All right. Okay. Now is as good a time as any to get to Rudy Giuliani.
Rudy.
Everybody's favorite ride or die. I keep saying, he's everybody's favorite ride. You want Rudy Giuliani, right?
No. Actually, no.
Ride or die, man.
I want somebody with the loyalty,
yes,
but not the sloppiness.
That's right. Like, props on the loyalty. But effectiveness? Oh, man. So, recently, Rudy Giuliani was interviewed on Fox News by Laura Ingraham. And Rudy Giuliani continues to spin this story, continues to try to talk about conspiracy theories and how Joe Biden is actually corrupt. And in this clip, he talks about Marie Yovanovitch, who is the former ambassador to Ukraine. And so he begins by saying that she had to be ousted because she was corrupt.
Marie Yovanovitch, whom Trump fired in April, one of the House's star witnesses, told of Lysenko, said, I don't think we'd be here if not for him. Now, this hit piece, and it's a hit piece,
of course,
also has you on the record admitting that you forced out Marie Yovanovitch.
Of course
you
I
said
did.
you needed her out of the way, but you're a personal attorney for the president, so why do you need her out of the way?
I didn't need her out of the way. I forced her out because she's corrupt. I came back with a document that will show unequivocally that she committed perjury when she said that she turned down the visa for Mr. Shokin because of corruption. The fact is, on the record, in the State Department's own records, The reason given is because he had had an operation and hadn't recovered yet. The operation, of course, was 2 years before. It's documentary evidence that she committed perjury. I have 4 witnesses who will testify that she personally turned down their visas because they were going to come here and give evidence either against Biden or against the Democratic Party. There's no question that she was acting corruptly in that position and had to be removed. She should have been fired if the State Department weren't part of the deep state.
But why didn't? But I have a question. Pompeo.
First of all, Laura Ingraham almost got into it. Almost got into, something that was kind of overarching this whole situation involving Giuliani. And that is, you're the personal attorney. Why are you?
Sounds like she doesn't believe the story.
It look, did you see? Trust us. There's usually never an instance where we want to give credit to someone like Laura Ingraham on anything. But in this case, it looked as if she was giving him like a side eye. It wasn't like a
it's too much bullshit.
It was like it wasn't a side. It was more like the raised chin, like
personal attorney,
personal attorney, huh?
Okay.
Okay, you think you think she's corrupt? Then why are you the personal attorney? You're a personal attorney of the president, going about trying to get rid of an ambassador. You're the personal attorney. You don't have the authority to do that.
Now, okay. So I'm glad you brought that up, okay? Because as you recall, I believe this was the last was this the last impeachment hearing? Yeah, I believe this was the last impeachment hearing. We heard from the counsel, GOP counsel, Steve Castor, and the Democratic counsel, Daniel Goldman. And at one particular point when there was one particular Democratic committee member that was talking to Steve Castor, he pointed out, and he showed it on the screen, some of Giuliani's words. And these words were printed in articles. And one of those, an excerpt for one of those words were saying that Giuliani himself said that he was not doing foreign policy. He himself said it. He himself was not doing foreign policy. Now, if you are trying to oust a sitting U.S. ambassador, methinks that's foreign policy. Methinks that's foreign policy. If you're saying that she's corrupt, that's why she needed to go, well, damn it, I think that's foreign policy.
Exactly. It's not like he was accusing her of I don't know, cheating at Madden.
Yeah, no.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because like what he is talking about is supposed work she did at her job, not some other stuff.
Right. And the again, the visa that he wanted it for Shokin. Shokin is the corrupt prosecutor that was ousted back in 2016 because he was dirty and wasn't actually investigating corruption. So it's that guy that is one of the people that are going to testify to the Democratic Party's guilt and Joe Biden's guilt and Hunter Biden's guilt, all of this stuff, right? Now, what's interesting is that Rudy's, I guess his own viewpoint, his narrative is contradicted by the Republican Party. And when I say the Republican Party, I can point to a specific document from the Republican Party, the House Minority Report. Mm-hmm. You remember that report?
Yes, I remember the report.
So in that report, it contains these words. The impeachment inquiry has uncovered no clear evidence that President Trump directed Ambassador Volker, Ambassador Sondland, and Secretary Perry to work with Mary Giuliani for the purpose of pressuring Ukraine to investigate his political rival. In fact, the evidence suggests that the White House actively worked to stop potential impropriety when Mayor Giuliani attempted to obtain a visa for former Ukrainian Prosecutor General Viktor Shokin to travel to the U.S. in January 2019. The White House shut down the effort. The White House shut down the effort. If Rudy Giuliani is doing the appropriate thing here,
why would the White House shut down an effort that's appropriate?
And why would the House Minority Report say this? If everything is on the up and up here, why would they distance themselves from Rudy Giuliani?
See, they're trying
his work.
They're trying to throw Rudy Giuliani under the bus. They're trying to throw him under the bus, but they're attached to him. They're just attached to him. So they're going under the bus with him. You see what I'm saying? You can't. You just can't throw Rudy under the bus.
You can't. No, because he's such an integral player here. Probably the most.
The most integral player. And the thing about like all these theories that Rudy has, right? He was a prosecutor in New York.
He was.
He has connections. He's a prosecutor. He was a mayor. Wonder why no one is picking this up. Could it be that people don't trust him? Why isn't this being picked up by anyone? All these accusations, this so-called evidence, this mountain of evidence that Giuliani has with his connections and his history as a prosecutor, his connections in the FBI, and as a mayor of the largest city in the United States. How come nobody's biting on this? That should tell you something. No one's biting on this. He says he has all these documents.
And he's going to prove that Yovanovitch was corrupt.
And no one is biting.
How and when are you going to prove it? How and when? How is the document itself. But when is that document going to be revealed? And when are these so-called witnesses going to testify as to Marie Yovanovitch's guilt as well, her corruption? I guess Senator Mitch McConnell wants these people to testify, I guess.
No, he doesn't want to do the work.
No.
For Adam Schiff's sloppy evidence gathering. He doesn't want to do the work.
But that wouldn't be for Adam Schiff. That would be for President Trump. And you remember, Mitch McConnell recently said that everything that he's doing is in conjunction with the White House, which is totally inappropriate because basically that suggests that the White House is going to be leading the impeachment process, the impeachment trial, and it's supposed to be impartial. We have Republican senators saying that they've already made up their mind, although they have to be impartial, and they have to actually state that they're going to be impartial at the beginning of the trial.
They don't even want to be on record saying that. So we talk about how the Republicans don't even want no parts of the Senate trial because there's so much they have to do and say to defend Donald Trump.
Yep.
They don't even want to go on record saying that they're going to be impartial.
Nope.
Officially.
Yeah.
Because we've seen that in the media, especially from Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
But I can't remember exactly what he said, but he pretty much already said, like, I've already made up my mind.
Yeah. He said that in a media appearance. He said, I'm not even trying to, I guess, like, sell the idea that I'm taking this seriously.
But see, that's in the media. Mm-hmm. So he can say that when he's not under oath. Yeah. But if he's under oath, and he has to say, I got to be impartial.
Right.
And he's not. Ooh.
That's the oath.
They're bold. They're bold, but they ain't that bold.
Nah. All right, so let's get to another interview. So on CNN State of the Union with Jake Tapper, they had Senator Rand Paul on. And of course, this is still about impeachment proceedings. This is about Trump's guilt or innocence. And specifically, the conversation that we're pointing to is about corruption. So Jake Tapper asked Rand Paul if he really does believe that President Trump is anti-corruption, and that was his motive regarding all of these actions.
So you're saying that you think that President Trump was actually doing this because he was combating corruption. This is, of course, a president.
Well, yeah, there are all kinds of accusations that Burisma and Hunter Biden and the company were corrupt, and the founder of the company was corrupt.
But this is a president whose former personal attorney, Michael Cohen, former campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, former national security advisor, Mike Flynn, former campaign advisor, Roger Stone, former deputy campaign chair, Rick Gates, former associate George Papadopoulos, all of them have been convicted of federal crimes. In addition, last year, Trump University settled a $25 million fraud lawsuit. Last month, President Trump admitted misusing his own charitable foundation's money, was ordered to pay $2 million. You really think President Trump is concerned about rooting out corruption?
I think most of what you listed and most of the people that were indicted or convicted were alleged to have been part of some sort of huge Russian conspiracy. But I think what we found out from the Inspector General's report is that it was all based on a false premise that Carter Page had something to do with Russia.
The Trump Justice Department put all those people in prison or sentenced all those people. It's not me.
It turns out that the FBI hid information that Carter Page all along was telling another part of the government, the CIA,
that doesn't absolve Paul Manafort of money laundering.
I mean, the whole investigation that started this, General Flynn was not guilty of anything to do with Russians. General Flynn was guilty of not reciting his conversation.
I'm asking you about President Trump and corruption.
With him.
I'm asking you about President Trump and corruption. I just listed a number of close associates of President Trump's who are either in prison or facing sentencing.
But I think it's based on opinion. It's based on
these are sentences. These are criminal sentences.
His opinion on foreign aid is similar to mine. Mine is a little more exacting. But the president has had doubts on foreign aid. He said the Europeans should pay more. He withheld it. In fact, the law allows any president to withhold aid as long as they want until the end of the fiscal year.
And Ukraine had been cleared.
Act.
Ukraine had been cleared on the benchmarks it needed to meet in terms of getting that aid that Congress passed.
According to the president, I don't know that he had accepted that they had been cleared because he was still holding up their aid.
Yeah, okay, so there was a lot of dancing by Senator Rand Paul.
Bad dancing.
There's a lot of tap dancing around. Yeah, I don't think he's taking lessons or anything like that. I'm not just going to pick on Rand Paul here, okay? Because we see multiple Republicans doing the same thing. They can't actually answer a straightforward question.
What was the question?
The question was, do you really believe that President Trump is interested in rooting out corruption? And how Rand Paul, Senator Paul, begins to explain, he said, well, there were problems with the FBI investigation. So
what does that have to do with kind of Trump's so-called focus on corruption?
Yeah.
But that has nothing. He even brought up Russia.
I don't. Yeah, because Jake Tapper pointed to all these individuals that were connected
Rick Gates,
to
Paul
President
Manafort,
Trump.
Michael
Yes.
Flynn. I don't know. Did he mention Roger Stone?
He may
Papadopoulos.
So all these people have been either convicted or sentenced by now because of their guilt, because of their crimes that they committed.
Didn't Donald Trump stand up and defend Paul Manafort?
He did.
Have you read what Paul Manafort did? That shit is crazy. Actually, have you read what Michael Flynn did? He was doing all kinds of shit. I'm talking about like up to selling nuclear secrets and shit. Like he did a whole host of shit. But like all those people that are surrounding Trump, right, around Trump, in Trump's immediate proximity. Like, these aren't just like associates, acquaintances.
No.
These are people in his immediate proximity.
So if he's actually interested in, because that was the question, if he's actually interested in rooting out corruption, why was he not interested in distancing himself from these particular bad guys?
And support justice being served in regard to those individuals. Right? Wouldn't you support justice? Right? In those cases?
But see, it's not only that as well, because as Jake Tapper talked about too, he was guilty of the fraud with his Trump University. He had to pay out $25 million. Just recently, a few months ago, there was the charity, misusing his charity, had to disband the charity.
He was stealing money from various charities, like talking about the veterans, Meals on Wheels. Like, it's crazy. There was also a charity that it was kind of focused on underprivileged individuals, underprivileged children, primarily in black neighborhoods.
So basically, given all of this, all of his problems and all of his connections with dirty individuals, how can you actually say that he was interested in rooting out corruption? And then Senator Paul talks about, well, this is really about this is really about, opinions based on foreign aid, and Trump has always had doubts on delivering foreign aid. We've talked about this before, okay? Again, Senator Paul and others don't want to answer direct questions, but if Trump actually had significant concerns about delivering foreign aid, then why was this not a concern? Why was this not a conversation in 2017 and 2018 under the former president of Ukraine that Republicans are now saying is an oligarch and corrupt? No problem whatsoever with delivering that aid.
Who's saying that?
Republicans are making this point that old president Poroshenko was corrupt, but they delivered the aid and didn't say anything about it. But now the reformer steps in, and now you get curious. Now you get curious that the reformer is in office, and you want to hold up the investigation. And the reason given from Trump's own mouth was Biden.
Not only do you get curious, you get active.
Yep.
You get active in trying to remove an ambassador that actually tackles corruption. That's kind of odd.
Oh gosh, man.
But even if, Trump did not show concerns about corruption in Ukraine in 2017, 2018, he can change his mind.
Yeah, he sure can.
He can change his mind.
He can.
That's perfectly fine. But again, if it has to do with a policy disagreement and a legislative disagreement, we're fine with that. But just present your case. If they're trying to present this case that Trump had the grounds to withhold the aid and the reason was legitimate, then it would have been legitimate when the aid was being earmarked for Ukraine. It would have been legitimate upon the initial withholding of the aid. And he could have publicly been like, yo, we're holding on to this aid because we got to address some certain legislative issues.
Right.
We have to address some things.
Right.
That would have been fine. Even if, let's see, they were based on maybe some spacious information, at least it would have been out there. But they're using this argument
now. Yeah, it's a new argument.
After these mugs got caught.
Yes. All right. So, look, so impeachment is expected to be voted on in the House this week. And I just saw before we started recording tonight that it's expected to be voted on tomorrow, Wednesday, by the full House. Reportedly, the Democratic Party feels that they have the votes for it to pass. Now, there is at least likely one Democratic representative that is not going to vote in approval of impeachment, and that is Representative Jeff Van Drew, who is from New Jersey, and is a very conservative Democrat. And he's already stated he voted against I believe he voted against the procedural, the impeachment procedure before. So he doesn't have a favorable opinion of the impeachment. And like I said, he is a conservative member of the Democratic Party. Recently, he has been, solicited by President Trump and Republicans because they want him to join the Republican Party. And it seems as though he is going to do so.
Now, why would they solicit him and him specifically? Maybe they know something about him and the district he represents.
Yes, that district was carried by President Donald Trump, and it does lean, reportedly, conservative.
Yeah. So it's not like this is some sort of walk away situation.
No. It's not like he was a strong liberal and then
he saw the light.
The impeachment conversation
He saw the light.
Caused him to turn away. No. He was already away. He was already there. So if he does, defect to the Republican Party, okay. All right. It really doesn't, it will take a number away from the numbers of Democrats in the House, but I'm pretty sure he was voting with conservatives anyway, so it doesn't really do anything. Another member of the House, specifically, has not made up her mind how she's going to vote. Representative Tulsi Gabbard, who is also a Democratic presidential candidate.
She qualified for that debate? Oh, my bad. Sorry for my outburst.
No.
Okay. My outvoice.
On Tuesday, Representative Gaillard called for the censure of President Trump. And she also said about about her pending impeachment vote. She said, "I'm taking this time for myself to be able to review everything that's happened, all the information that's been put forward, and just all the factors that go into really trying to figure out what is the best action to take for our country and for our democracy. It's not a simple or easy decision to make."
That's the translation. That's my translation. That's
that's a good one.
You like that?
Yeah, I like that.
That's my full commentary on Tulsi Gabbard's comments.
My translation is, don't want to upset the conservatives right now.
It just seemed very wishy-washy. It didn't seem like a bunch of nothing.
Yeah, you do. So, again, tomorrow is expected to be that full vote. And we had talked about the possibility that it was going to be delayed so as to have some type of leverage to get some particulars committed to by the Republican Party in the Senate, so that the Democratic Party will be able to call certain witnesses. But it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. When this vote is official, it's just handed to the Senate, and then the Senate can do essentially whatever they want to.
They don't want to handle it, though, because if they do handle it, how they handle it will be very public.
Yep. So we'll just see how this plays out. But I do think it's going to be rather short. I don't know how short. I think it's going to be rather short. I do not believe that we're going to hear from key witnesses like the former National Security Advisor John Bolton, his deputy Kupperman,
Mulvaney, and those under him.
Pompeo. People, even Pompeo, people at the Office of Management and Budget.
What about Pence's aide?
What's the
other dude? Rick Perry.
Yeah, Rick Perry.
Forgot about him.
There's many people. There's many people that really need to testify. If you really wanted to get down and dirty, if you wanted to get to the actual truth of it and hear firsthand testimony about it, you would have to listen to these particular individuals, but that's not the goal of the Republican Party. Again, they're not trying to prove President Trump's innocence, because I don't believe there's anything there to prove it. There's only information to prove his guilt.
And I think that's what to me, that's all it's about. I'm not going to make it about, like, although it is something to be said about setting a precedent concerning presidents abusing their power and unilaterally going about things against the wishes of a bureaucracy. When I say bureaucracy, I just mean a group of people, not using bureaucracy like in the negative sense. But like, I don't really think it's about, like, I don't know. I'm thinking about what Tulsi said now, and I'm just thinking, I was like, it's just about holding this one dude accountable for what he did.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's as simple as that.
Like, let's not.
It should be.
Let's not just make it bigger than what it is, because we have fucking problems that, Trump going away won't fix. But this dude did something. That's the only matter here. Right. That's it. I'm not gonna sit up here and act as if it's going to completely just save our democracy.
The picture doesn't get rosier by
it doesn't.
The ouster of Trump.
It doesn't get rosy. It does do it kind of, if this is if Trump is allowed to get away with this, I do think that it does have implications on our democracy. I won't deny that. Mm-hmm. But if it's like the end all, to our democracy, I'm not gonna take it that far.
It does push the Republican Party further right, though.
Yeah. There's definitely some implications, domestically and foreign as well, seeing as this is about foreign aid. But what does it do to the parties too? There are implications here, but I'm not going to go out on a limb and be like, we have to save the democracy.
Look, party over politics. Usually, you hear people say politics over party, people over politics, or people over parties, whatever. But as senators like Lindsey Graham and Senator Rand Paul continuously show us all. And just think about the two individuals that I named. These were people that were clowned by President Trump on the campaign trail. And to a larger extent, Rand Paul. He was always a target by President Trump. Ted Cruz. I mean, these are people that it wasn't just like it was just politics and they were just disagreeing with policy points. No, it was bullying by President Trump. He brought their families into it, brought their wives into it, lame school jokes, middle school jokes, this and that. I mean, this is what President Trump did, and this is the guy that they choose to continuously represent or support because it's all about the party. It's all about the politics of it all. All right, so let's change up. Let's change up a little bit. Let's talk about, like I said, a little bit of police brutality, assaults. Let's start with North Carolina.
That's crazy how you say let's start with.
Yeah, I know.
Because there's multiple.
Yeah, there's multiple, yeah. We're going to tackle two of them tonight. So by now I'm sure many people have already seen some video of a school resource officer assaulting an 11-year-old child inside of a school, picking him up, slamming him to the ground more than once, and then dragging him. If you have not already seen it, we're going to play it for you in just a minute. But this happened in North Carolina. It was in Henderson, North Carolina at Vance County Middle School. The officer has not been named as of yet. The family of the boy has spoke about it. But again, so if you have not seen a clip of it, we're going to show it to you. It is it's hard to watch.
Yo.
There's no sound. It's just a security video. Or surveillance video. I assume that's in the hall. So we can't hear what's being said. If anything was said, we don't know exactly where it started. If the boy did something to upset this resource officer beforehand, or if he said something in the hallway. It really doesn't make any difference. Of course, it does not make any difference. I'm just saying that we don't know.
We doubt it was. Yeah,
preceded this.
We know it was something that set him off.
Yes,
but regardless of what set him off,
completely unacceptable. Completely unacceptable.
That,
and it was complete. You know,
it was. See, I already see where you're going. I already see where you're going because it wasn't like a, hey.
Yeah, it wasn't. No,
it wasn't like one little like shove. It was like repeated. It was like repeated and repeated.
That, and we didn't see the child do anything physically. Not even like
resist.
A fake. It wasn't a resist. It was just out of nowhere. Now, again, I don't care what the verbal, whatever exchange they had verbally. That does not matter to me whatsoever. Physically, there was nothing to precede this whatsoever. The officer just accosted him. When he was not threatened, nobody else was threatened, just picked him up, threw him down, and then dragged him along. It's completely unacceptable. It's brutal behavior. It's criminal conduct.
No. I was about to say that is definitely criminal. Simply because this act of violence occurred while he was on his job means nothing to me.
No.
Like, he should be charged with assault.
Yes. The officer has not been named as of yet. He was at first put on paid leave, but reportedly on Monday he was fired. The Vance County District Attorney Mike Waters has not determined if this former officer will be subject to criminal charges as of yet, but he did say, quote, this is a use of force case and the sheriff appropriately has called in an outside agency to investigate. I've been able to assure the family that this is being conducted appropriately, end quote. Not too satisfying to me. Not too satisfying to me.
If you did that.
If I did that.
If you did exactly
and
that.
I was caught on video.
Caught on video. To a grown person.
To a grown person.
And you were caught on video.
Whew. Imagine if I did it to a child.
And they saw you on video.
They saw me on video.
And they verified that it was you.
Yep.
And they know where you lived.
Yep. Know my identity. All of that.
They come get you. Well, it's like you know what I'm talking about.
It wouldn't take long at all.
The long arm of the law would come get you.
Same day.
It would reach out and touch you.
Same
it would
day.
reach out and grab you.
Book the
You'd
same
be
day.
booked the same day.
So what has taken so long for this officer to be facing criminal charges then? When we have video evidence as to somebody's guilt, as to somebody's unlawful conduct, as to somebody assaulting another individual, namely a child, you have this on video and you're still waiting? You need an outside agency to what? Look at the video that you already saw? You've been I don't know how long Mike Waters has been the district attorney. I don't know how long his career dates back, how long he has been an attorney, how long he's been practicing. I have no idea. But given this position, I'm assuming that he's not a newbie here. I'm assuming that he's a district attorney for the county. I'm assuming he's not a rookie at his position. So I'm assuming that something like this, seeing something like this is not, though it may be disgusting and shocking, I'm assuming he has seen similar situations unfold and he has made similar determinations like, well, hold on, that's criminal conduct. That's criminal conduct right there.
And it's like it's almost as if when cops are engaged in brutality, it's almost like their badge protects them from being treated like they should be treated.
Like a regular person.
Like a regular person.
Because regular persons are under these badges.
Unless it's like, if it's egregious, they'll hold a cop accountable. But to me, this seems like an open and shut case. That was in the school, right?
Yes, it was in the school.
In the school. Okay, when teachers are proven to have an improper relationship with a student, they don't just get fired.
No, they don't.
Right? You see cases like this, a case like that all the time.
Yeah, it's common.
Where teachers or slept with a student or multiple students, they get fired and they get charged with statutory rape.
There's no video. Usually no video.
It didn't matter. It doesn't matter that they, were either on the job. It doesn't matter.
Look, we can only hope that the family actually does see some justice and this former officer actually does get criminally prosecuted, because that is exactly what he deserves. I believe the family of the boy said that he did sustain some bruises on his head, like a bump on the head. I don't believe he went to the hospital. No, he would have went to the hospital. Oh, I would have definitely. No, he would have went to the hospital. And it's not even to just milk it for everything it's worth, but this dude was slammed on the ground twice.
You know what?
You get a bump on the head. No, you still need to check that out.
You know what? Like I really don't want to watch the video over again, but like that kind of impact could have had much more damage if he would have fallen like at a different angle,
right?
A slightly different angle. He could have. Some severe damage could have been done.
He could have fell on the top of his
head.
On the
top of his head. He could have twisted his neck up. So again, that's why you need to charge this officer. This damn.
Well, there's going to be a lawsuit. There's definitely going to be a lawsuit, and I assume that there's going to be a settlement as well, because that's how these things go. I'm
not built for stuff like that.
No, I'm not.
I'm definitely not built for stuff like that. I can't even watch that, and that's not even my kid.
Yeah. Honestly, if I'm part of the family, I'm not going to be too concerned with charges being filed. I'm going to be, where's he at? Where's he at?
Where he at?
Like, I need to see him. He
put
his hands on somebody. I need to put my hands on.
I just want to talk to him. That's all. I talk to him with my hands.
I need to throw some hands. It's one thing if look, assault is assault. We know that assault is assault, and it doesn't matter if you're an adult. Assault is assault. But when it's a child that's 11 years old that has no chance of defending himself against this significantly larger individual,
that was like, yeah.
No chance. He was throwing him around like he was a rag doll. He had no chance here. So when you see something like that, oh no, somebody needs to come
the
see
size difference is quite obvious. That 11-year-old was probably like 70 pounds,
maybe,
and he was this resource officer. The resource officer was like he was husky.
Yeah.
So he was like, I don't know. He had the kind of physique of like a Carl Winslow. Mm-hmm. So he had to be like maybe 190, 200, maybe 210.
Yeah. Look, again, we don't try to promote violence on this show, condone violence or anything like that, but he does deserve to get seen
and talk to
and talk to. Now, what's going to do the talking?
Yeah. He deserves to, maybe have some advice delivered in his direction.
A little bit.
You know what I'm saying?
Just a little bit. All right. Moving on to more police brutality, this time fatal. In August of 2018, 15-year-old Carmen Spencer Mendez was shot and killed by a police officer in Ceres, California, following a high-speed chase. So Mendez rolled out of the moving vehicle and ran away. Officer Ross Bays fired at Mendez repeatedly, hitting him multiple times, and without issuing a command first. This body cam footage was recently released, and it was only released because of a lawsuit that was filed by the family and a Freedom of Information request. So they ultimately had to release it, as usually is done, but it took over a year to do so. So we're gonna show you a part of this video for you to see if you haven't already.
One down in the field. I'm holding on him. I got 5 right now. Hey, sir, stop. On your left. Clear the air. If you can hit me, hands up.
So we cut it off there. There is more to the video, but as the video proceeds, you see Mendez lying there still, of course, on his stomach. He was running away and was shot in his back, in the back of his body multiple times. Now, what preceded this was Officer Bays. He was responding to a report of somebody with a weapon at a skate park. And so they focused in on this car because it was suspected to be involved in a hit and run. So they began chasing it, and then, a high-speed chase ensued. Mendez rolled out of the passenger side of the car and began running. And then what you see is Officer Bays stepping out of the vehicle, and you hear the audio, not issuing a command, not issuing a warning, just emptying his clip, shooting into the back of Mendez. For me, this does not give off the optics, or this. I don't see police activity. I don't see law enforcement activity. I don't see procedures. I don't see any of that. I see gang activity. I see a particular individual jumping out of the car, and because they want to stop somebody, they shoot them. They don't deliver any warnings, nothing like that. They don't say stop, police. They don't say anything. Stop moving. Hey, freeze. Nothing. Just start shooting this individual in the back. Now, in the car, they did find weapons. Okay, they found some guns in the car. There were also 4 other people that were passengers in the car. 3 of them were released, eventually were released, and were not charged with anything. The 4th individual was charged with some unrelated charge. Now, Mendez, who was shot and killed by Officer Bays, it's reported that Bays believed him to have a gun in his hand. And when they did, I guess, go to his body, there was a gun. This was reported that there was a gun laying somewhere around the spot where he fell. And Officer Bays, in speaking with investigators, said that, one, of course, he feared for his life, and he feared for others' life, because this was an individual running with a gun, and he was scared that he was going to harm somebody else. Now, we saw a field of nothing. We saw a field of nothing. It wasn't like there were kids or maybe adults around, anything like that. We just saw a field.
Maybe
of,
maybe it may have been livestock. Maybe some cows or some pigs or some sheep whose lives were under threat, in danger.
Right. Yeah. That's certainly possible.
Just like you, watching that footage, I would not think that was footage from a body cam of a police officer.
No. You would think that there was some criminal with a body cam.
Also,
on.
I would think that for some strange reason, just a strange reason, that footage has to be edited. Has to be. Like, edited to make the cop look bad.
Right.
Because one thing I did not see this, what's his last name, Mendez?
Yes.
I didn't see him running towards the cop.
No, he ran away from the cop.
Okay, other thing, again, there must have been some video shenanigans going on, because, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but shouldn't you issue commands before you shoot somebody?
Typically. Yeah, I think law enforcement procedures, they make that stipulation. I think
he was very, 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 very loud and yelling out commands over and over again, and just with an extreme amount of bass in his voice after he shot Mendez.
After.
Like he shot. How many times did he shoot him?
He emptied the clip. I think it was 16.
Emptied the clip.
I think it was 16.
How is somebody who is shot going to comply now? First of all, that doesn't even make logical sense. Once you shoot somebody 6 times, most likely they ain't moving. It doesn't even make logical sense here. Like, he claims that he saw a gun on Mendez.
Uh-huh.
Didn't look like Mendez had a gun in his hand when he ran away. Is he trying to claim that Mendez, while running from that short period of time that we saw Mendez not have anything in his hand, did Mendez grab the gun? Is that possible?
Mendez was running away on his feet. He wasn't like stumbling around the ground, like falling and getting up and falling again. And he was running away on his feet. And the officer emptied his clip.
Because he made the decision to. He wanted to do that. That was one of those cases where the officer decided that's what he was going to do regardless of what happens. Or, like some people who just happen to be police officers, they are looking forward to an opportunity where they can use their gun.
Yep.
And this may have been one of those cases. And if you were just looking for an opportunity to use your gun, you're gonna like use anything you can to justify it.
Suspect fleeing the scene.
Oh,
you gotta stop him.
Damn, this is my chance. I could use my firearm.
Yep. Now, look, we've discussed situations like this before where officers have been charged for shooting at people in the back, running away, shooting at them. Officers have been charged for this behavior. This particular officer was cleared of any wrongdoing. Cleared of any wrongdoing. Now, you know what's coming though, right? I mean, cleared of wrongdoing, but something else happened too.
He's cleared of wrongdoing, but the department said he violated department protocol.
Well, no. I mean, at least that would be something. See, you know where I'm going, but you just don't know, right? You just don't know yet. Again, Officer Bays was cleared of any wrongdoing, but there was a settlement issued to the family.
Yeah.
$2.1 million was issued to the Mendez family for Officer Bays' non-guilt. $2.1 million.
Maybe it's just a gesture of goodwill. Because we know cities like to issue settlements in good faith and goodwill, even if the police officer didn't do anything wrong. We see this all the time.
Right.
When police officers don't do anything wrong, the city's just going to shell out money. We see that all the time, don't we?
And you know, actually, and again, I stated before that this happened in August of 2018. There was another event that happened the previous year. It was they were about a year apart, in which this officer he was involved in another fatal shooting. And this shooting, it was, again, somebody stumbling out of the car, running away, and shot him, killed him. He was cleared of any wrongdoing in that case also. And that family was awarded $2 million. No wrongdoing, but $1 million settlements. No wrongdoing, $1 million settlements.
And they kept him.
There's some, I guess, there's not a consensus as to what Officer Bay's status is. There were reports that he is retired and he has moved away from the city, out of state. But then the police chief said that Bays is on medical leave. So again, there's no clear consensus as to what his status is. It doesn't seem as though it's been cleared up as of yet either. So we just know that he has not been charged criminally. I believe there's at least words being said that they're still looking at it. Even though he's been cleared, they're still looking at it.
Even though they've issued a settlement,
yes,
they're still looking at it.
Still looking at it.
They looked at it enough to determine that a settlement was warranted, right?
Right. But no guilt. No guilt. Twice now. This has happened twice. $4.1 million because of one officer in the course of about a year.
See, this is why I don't, pearl clutch when people support political violence. Right? I don't. I really don't. Or punching Nazis or being in support of political violence. Like, not just protest. I see why now. People get outraged over, people's, or activists, for being very inflammatory with their rhetoric, like, fuck the police, pigs in the blanket, pigs, get all outraged, but don't seem to be outraged when these individuals that have a lot of authority actually show violence to the public.
What you see is a lot of defense of these officers just doing their job, Hey, they have the utmost integrity, just doing their jobs, just trying to protect and serve. And I keep asking the question too, like, where was the protecting and serving in this particular incident here?
Or in the last incident.
Or in the last
or the previous incident we covered.
Yeah. Comes down to people, what people are willing to accept. And you always say that. The
lowest common denominator
is people.
And
what
people,
are we willing to accept? What are we willing to put up with and excuse and just defend actions because what? Because we want to think highly of people that wear the shield because that profession has always been respected. And so because the profession is respected, then there can't be any bad apples.
I think people want to believe that we live in an orderly society. You know what I'm saying? We're in a civilized society, so this stuff, can't happen. This stuff doesn't happen. If you acknowledge that any of this stuff happens, then that calls into question this being a civil society. It calls into question this being a just society too. So I think it all connects to how people see the United States in general, how people see America as this like beacon of hope, beacon of freedom, this place where everybody can make it, meritocracy, freedom, justice for all. I think if you acknowledge that there's state violence like we constantly see, then I guess that fantasy kind of dissipates a little bit if you acknowledge it. So it's not even just about police, it's not about authority, I think it's about how we view our country in America as well. It ties into that kind of United States being exceptional.
Yep.
Can't believe anything like that happens here, not the United States.
And again, especially in a profession that is so respected as well.
Uniform.
The cops, man.
Uniform.
Uniformed officers?
Uniform,
Come on. They're just trying to protect you and I.
And humans are not, unfortunately, humans don't do well in positions of power. We just don't. We suck, yo. We suck. We don't know how to handle it, yo. No. Don't know how to handle it.
I think, humans in positions of power. We don't
have a good track record, man.
We don't.
We don't have a good track record.
Like, even though I would say that again, there's no empirical evidence that will support my position. I think most of us are good or can be. I think that is just
what's most?
Yeah, over 50%.
So you're trying to be conservative. You're trying to be like, all right. Now, see, I can't say nothing. You just say, okay. Right.
So I say over 50%. Okay. Now, but if we're talking about humans in positions of power, how many of those jokers are good and actually perform their duties to the best of their abilities and actually are they do their duties with respect for others and with some integrity and
looking out for people.
Well under 50%. Well under 50%.
Probably like 90s.
Anybody that's had a job
90s.
Knows that's true.
Yo, a regular job.
Regular
job. It's like you seem like, how did this person get in this position?
All the time.
All the time.
Like, why is this person in command of other people?
Like bump police officers. I've seen people who don't need to be managers at Denny's.
Hell no.
Like, no, like you got the wrong person here.
It's unfortunate, man. We do these stories too much. Haven't done them in a while. It doesn't mean that they haven't been happening. But it's unfortunate that, this loss of life continues to occur in the United States of America, where I believe, about 1,000 people are gunned down by police officers every year.
What is D. Scully in the chat says, the mistake is assuming that people who seek power are good. I think
Some people do believe that.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think that is the flaw right there. And I don't necessarily want to conflate. We don't want to conflate people who apply or go after positions of power, meaning like, or we don't want to conflate that with people who want to be powerful. You know what I'm saying? Because certain positions just are naturally authoritative positions, just naturally.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you abuse it just because you want to be in that authoritative position. There is a way you can practice your authority responsibly. There is a way to do that.
Yeah. I'd say
Teachers have authority over students.
yes,
It's an authoritative position.
and many of them are very good.
And many of them are very good.
I'd say
Principals as well.
I'd say when I was a younger kid, young man, I didn't see anything really wrong with the notion that young people wanted to become the president of the United States. You know, if they were like, yeah, I'm going to be the president of the United States one day, now, yeah, I don't like that.
Your dreams switch up when you get older.
Yeah, I don't
your
like
dreams
that.
switch up.
Yeah. But, knowing what you know now, as an older person with some life experience and seeing people in positions of power, especially in politics, somebody that it's their life mission to become president of the United States, I don't know if you actually are trying to do good.
And it's a matter of
I think you're trying to do you.
It's a matter of perspective too, because some people dream of those positions because they want to rule over people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I'd say for most people, like if that's their goal, I'm looking at you with
I
the
mean, there
side
are
eye.
some few people that, go after positions where they do have authority because they want to change things in a meaningful way, good way,
Yeah.
humanitarian way.
It's just not. It's just that there's not
it's
that many of them.
It's like that much.
Just like
that many people.
Just like and this is it can be a bigger conversation, but by just saying that most people that are in positions of power probably should not be there, I can go back to a recent conversation we had about are the current candidates for president, are they the best candidates in the country for president? No, there's better candidates for president, but one, they're not seeking the job, and two, nobody knows them. They're not being recognized for the job at all either. So, it's most of the time we have the wrong people that are seeking these positions for the wrong reasons, of course. I don't know what it would take to, term limits could do something, possibly. At least it would do something. It could do something at least. But if you have the ability to just sit in Congress for decades, because the influence of incumbents.
Go back up. I like this little conversation. So somebody said women voting? All right, let's see. Is there someone in the government? I can't find it. I don't know. Maybe Gene said something. Something about. I don't know. I saw. See.
Smitty said it.
Yeah, Smitty said that. I don't know where she said that though. I don't know, man.
Oh, okay. The women of village shows the leaders they knew their character.
Oh, the Iroquois had a good system for power. The women. Yeah, that was that village though. That was that village. I'm not so sure about this huge ass village of the United States, where we have this kind of inclusiveness that surrounds women being participants in imperialism.
Yeah.
I don't like that kind of inclusiveness.
No.
More women CEOs. I was like, has that changed anything about how corporations, operate? No.
We didn't talk about it, but the new conservative squad.
Oh gosh! Why'd you bring that up? I didn't think you were going to bring that up.
Yeah, I wasn't going to, but it's
Lord,
relevant.
I just read internal cringe. It was an internal cringe.
I don't know if anybody saw that, but yeah, there is a conservative. There's an official.
Official.
It is an official conservative squad to combat the unofficial progressive squad, the squad. And it's all of people all of women that are seeking office in 2020. And from different states, I think Alabama, South Carolina, Texas, and I believe it's either Minnesota or Wisconsin. But yeah, they are the official squad now. And again, their mission was to push back on the policies of the far left, push back on socialism with the same old stuff that's been offered by Republicans.
Yeah, I believe in well, what was it? Where was the interview held? What was it on Fox?
It was on
But
Fox.
what was the show? Was it Fox and Friends?
I
Or was
believe
it-
because it was I forget her name. I forget her name that was hosting or that was interviewing these women. Ainsley Earhart.
Ainsley Earhart. I think
Yeah.
it would actually. She said I forgot one of them. One of the members of the conservative squad.
They have a website too.
Said talking about the Democrats. It said they've taken a sharp turn to the left under the influence under the socialist squad. I'm just like, and last time I checked, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ayanna Pressley, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar. That was a label that they were given by the public. They didn't come together and were like, yo, we the squad. That was a label the public gave them. And that label wasn't placed on them simply because they were women and they were freshmen. It wasn't just because of that, because there were
Democrats.
Democrats, because there were a lot of freshman women who got elected. So why did these, I would say 3 plus 4 plus 1, because Ayanna Pressley is on the outside.
Yeah, a little bit on
the outside. But we'll just talk about them together because of the main 3. Like, they were...
Why were they singled
They
out?
were singled out because they were different.
Different than the regular
Establishment Democrat.
Yes.
They were different. That's why they were singled out. They weren't singled out just because they were women of color, just because they were freshmen. They were singled out as a squad because they were new blood that were, I guess, viewed
trying to
have-
change the things up.
offer something different.
Right.
But it's just interesting because now you have these conservative white women who are appropriating something that many Republicans and many conservatives demeaned. And the president actually demeaned them and told them to go back to the countries they came from.
Right.
So it's just weird how they are now just appropriating this concept of a squad, even though they were demonizing it before.
Well, you see how things get done. We know that these 4 have a lot of support, and especially Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has a lot of support, even with the base of the Democratic Party, which that base is very centrist voters, people that love Hillary Clinton, but similarly, they love Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as well. So they have a lot of support. They have a lot of influence. Their voices carry, no doubt. So conservatives are seeing this, and even though they are bemoaning, I guess, their existence and saying, this squad, go back to where you come from, when they really think about it, like, well, hold on, damn.
We got to copy this because they're getting attention. They're getting attention.
Yeah.
But we're going to do an uninspired version that's not really separating from the Republican establishment.
No, they're just women seeking office. They're just white women, Republicans seeking office. That's it.
Yeah, they don't have any new ideas that separate themselves
No.
from regular Republicans, especially men Republicans, but just Republicans in general, but men or women. So it's like their version is still not like
It's the same.
it's not even done in the same way. So the emphasis on them being women is pointless because they have the same ideas as establishment Republicans. If you heard that interview, like they're not saying anything different, but they're the squad. Like
one of them, the so-called leader, and I don't recall her name, but she was saying that this is not your
This is not your granddaddy's
Republican Party.
It is. They were saying the same stuff. It is your. They were just.
You're projecting the same message.
You're projecting the
as
same
that old Republican Party. So I don't know.
It's like
what's the difference
they're
here?
trying to do is they were trying to find some like. They were trying to find a container of a person, a container to carry the same Republican message, but somehow they were expecting people not to listen to the message and just see the container that was carrying the message.
I guess optics.
Optics. They were just purely
they're
relying
women.
on optics. They were women, youthful, white.
Somewhat youthful, yeah. I mean,
Well, somewhat.
Yeah. I mean, one of them is not really.
Not really one of them.
Grandmother.
Grandmother. But
Grandmother.
I would say just like it was a weak copy.
It's very weak.
It was a weak copy.
And again, like you said, if the unofficial squad was so distasteful, why did you make your own? An official one too. You never hear themselves calling themselves the squad. They don't call themselves the squad. But you do now. You have a website. You have a website. I'm definitely following this story because in 2020, I want to see how many of these women get elected.
Yeah.
I definitely want to see that because who's going to be on the outside looking in? Damn, I got to get two of us.
True that, because all of them got to win now.
Yeah, so now we got to get 2 more members of the squad. Sorry, but we got to replace you.
So they got to do some recruiting once they win, if they win. Like that was there was a bunch of mistakes made, but that was the major mistake.
Too soon.
Too soon.
Too soon.
You wait to win.
Yes. Ridiculous, man. All right. If anybody wants to join the conversation, now is the time. Call us at 669-900-6833. We would love to speak with you. If you have a question or comment, we would love to hear it. All right. Oh, you know what? And just we were talking about the, corruption. If Trump actually is interested in rooting out corruption and all the individuals around him that were, of course, corrupt and were either charged or sentenced with
indicted,
crimes.
plea deals.
Well, interestingly enough, on Tuesday, there was a sentence handed down, and that was of Rick Gates. Wow. So Rick Gates gets 45 days in prison, 3 years probation, a $20,000 fine, and 300 hours of community service for his criminal actions as it relates to Paul Manafort as well, because he was his right-hand man. He was his partner in crime, this and that. So another one goes down and is going to serve some prison time. But President Donald Trump.
Don't touch him.
Doesn't touch him whatsoever.
Doesn't touch him. Everybody that was in his inner circle, not everybody, but a couple of handfuls of people who were in his inner circle.
Enough to mean something.
Indicted, serving time, or currently helping other investigations.
Right. And Rick Gates did help out with the Mueller investigation as well.
He helped out. Yes, he did.
Yeah, he helped out.
But this is a dude who cares about corruption.
He cares, man.
Who believes that?
He really cares. Really, really cares, man. It's important to him.
You know what? I'd be mad if I was Duncan Hunter or Chris Collins. Because where is my protection?
That's true.
When they were facing legal troubles. If I was Chris Collins or Duncan Hunter, I'd be mad. I'd be like, hey, where are all the Republicans that come to my defense when I'm in legal trouble? And where is this whole the people voted for me, so you can't nullify my election? I won. Where is that?
You know who I haven't heard talk about them? I haven't heard Trump speak about them.
I haven't either. Those are I think those are the one of the 2 representatives that publicly announced their support for Donald Trump.
Yeah, early. All right, we have a caller, and that is 218 area code. You are on the air live with LTMB.
Hey, this is Christopher, Artificial Morphous Man.
What up, man?
What's up?
Just a couple things. Good. So there was a poll that put Bernie at number 1 in California, and people are excited about that. It was over, I think, Biden by a couple points. And then, the next day, that the mainstream media headlines are oh, for Super Tuesday, Biden leads the pack. And so they didn't even mention that. And so what do you guys think about this whole media? They're still trying to ignore Bernie, but yet they just can't, because he's surging right now. So I was just curious what you guys thought about that. And there was
It looks like they're trying to constantly shift focus to other individuals when their luster runs out, and when their not the well of support, but kind of this initial steam that their campaign had dies out a bit. They seem to want to focus on somebody else, so they don't have to focus on how strong Bernie is. First, it's Biden, right? He's seen as, the most electable former vice president under Barack Obama. He's seen as hey, he's the shoe-in, whatever. Kind of like Clinton. He's been sliding ever since he announced he's running for president. He hasn't been able to hold himself, hold his own during debates, gaffe after gaffe. His interaction with protesters, his responses he gives them, he just seems to want to lose. And then Warren has been slipping as well this past 2 months. The slip came in close proximity to her
the new Medicare for all. Her new Medicare
for all. Not only that, it's her new Medicare for all position is very Buttigieg-y.
It's very confusing.
It's very Buttigieg-y and very confusing and very convoluted. She started losing a lot of steam since that. So now they focusing on Buttigieg. So they're constantly trying to shift focus to other people and trying to try to get somebody else to take this establishment baton and represent it well, and they can't find that person. Kamala Harris had it for a split second.
This is just the new Bernie blackout. It's done differently because they can't ignore him totally because of his run in 2016, because of his support, because he is at the top of the polls in every poll. So, they can't ignore him totally, but they can, not really talk about him too much, even if the news is good.
And Buttigieg is sliding too.
Yep,
and it seems with the issue with Medicare for all now, it just seems like everyone says, if you want it, or you can choose it, but I choose Medicare for all. And Bernie's super solid on that, and it shows, in the polls. So I forgot my other item, but yeah, you guys can keep talking. I'll let you go.
All right, man. Thanks for calling in tonight.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Buttigieg, or what you almost said one time, you said poop. You said poop.
Did I say Buttigieg?
You said Buttigieg. Mature, very mature. To laugh at that. But did y'all see that little recent fundraiser he had in Napa Valley? Did y'all see that shit? That was very old. It was very billionaire friendly, I would just say. I swear, I understand it's a winery and everything, so it's gonna look nice. But that setup was so extravagant. It looked like a place where billionaires come to brush shoulders with one another and quite possibly try to influence candidates in a way. But that shit was wild, man. Just the way everything looked. It was a palace. I swear, they had these chandeliers. I forgot what they're called. Swarovski or something. I forgot what these little crystals were called, but it was a chandelier made from those crystals. And I've seen chandeliers that were made from those crystals that were a fourth that size, the fourth size of the chandelier I saw that was hanging down from the ceiling in that little room that they were in cost $73,000. So that chandelier alone probably had to be $250,000. I think it had 1,500 crystals. I forgot what those crystals were called, Swarovski, some shit like that.
Look. What do we expect?
Pete Buttigieg? Oh no, I thought somebody said.
Well, what do we expect Pete Buttigieg to do at this point? Because he is falling. He is falling in the polls, specifically in terms of black support. That is almost non-existent. He virtually every single poll that I look at, he's running fourth. He's running fourth and a distant fourth. So it's not looking good for him. the only way that he can go is to cozy up to centrists and billionaires more. He can only do that more. I mean, I do see his ads a lot. He is being pushed. He has a lot of money behind him, obviously. Is that going to translate into votes, though? At least right now, it doesn't seem like it is. He's running fourth, though. He's running fourth.
They're doing their best job to try to like sway public opinion about Pete Buttigieg, but at the end, I don't think it's gonna work.
You know what's gonna be funny? If Bloomberg passes him.
Why do you think that would be funny though?
It's just gonna be funny.
Oh, just because it's Buttigieg getting shown up by a billionaire, somebody he's trying to cater to.
Yes, I think it really does have a chance
of happening. A group
of
of people he's trying to cater to.
I think it really does have a chance of happening. Mike Bloomberg is not going to qualify. Well, of course, the period to qualify for this next debate has already passed, but he qualified in two polls. Which is outstanding. If you're Mike Bloomberg, that's outstanding because he came into this.
He just
race
entered
late.
the race like yesterday.
That's outstanding.
Not officially. When I say like yesterday, I just.
It's only been a few weeks, man. So if you're him, that is positive news. He is really relying on his money. I don't know. I believe he has spent more than anybody else now, even though he's been in the race for 3 weeks, maybe something like that. He's spending a lot of money, man. It goes a long way. Tom Steyer is spending a lot of money as well, but he's not spending as much as Bloomberg.
Yeah, Bloomberg.
And they have different messages, too.
Bloomberg just has a lot more money at his disposal.
I think after 2 weeks, Bloomberg was, maybe $10 million short of where Tom Steyer was, and he's been in the race for months.
I mean, Bloomberg has his fingers in everything, though. You see what I'm saying? He has his fingers in everything.
Did you put in an application?
If I did, I wouldn't tell nobody.
$6,000 for a field organizer.
That's
Mike Bloomberg campaign.
I'm not a great actor.
Yeah.
I'm not a great actor.
I could probably do it for about
couple weeks.
No, I was gonna say a couple hours.
A couple hours.
I was gonna say a couple hours. That money was gonna feel real good for a couple hours, and then hold on, you want me to wear this hat? You want me to wear this hat? You want me to say what?
On record?
Nah, go ahead. Nah, never mind.
I won't ever be able to live this down.
Nah, man. Can't do it, man. Won't do it. Can't win with him? His black sport can't fall. Yeah, no. Right now, where it is, if you're talking about Buttigieg, his black sport
it can't fall because it ain't like
it's not there.
It's not there. Yeah, and his whole appeal to ignorance is very disgusting because he talks about he's learning, especially when it comes to like his perspective on black voters. Kind of catering to their specific needs, especially in his own city that he was a mayor of. When the conversation came up and he was asked about, what do you know about how black people see things? What's your perspective on kind of tackling issues that pertain to them? Blah, 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 questions like that. He kind of gives this answer like I'm looking into it and I'm learning. And I'm like, wait a second, like South Bend, I think it was like 25-30% black. So if you don't know, that means you don't want to know. So that whole I'm learning thing is just some like privileged, out of touch person's way of admitting that they didn't really care. To me, that's what it sounds like. I'm learning. It's like you don't have no intentions. It means you were completely insulated, like from certain people you were supposed to be representing. So that tells me all I need to know about that dude.
Artificial Morphisman said Jordan Sheridan seems to think Mayor P has a good chance in Iowa. You don't think so? Iowa seems to be the one state where he is doing pretty well. And there was a recent poll, and Buttigieg is still on top of it. Now, I've seen other polls now, and again, national polls, state polls, he's running fourth in all these other polls. But in Iowa, he's still, according to this poll, he is on top. Now, Bernie Sanders has caught up a little bit, and he's in second place now. So, he's, 3 points behind Buttigieg in this poll. It's the, what poll is this? What poll is this? This is, I wish I could, I don't even see what the name of the poll is. I guess it's Real Clear Politics average of polls. And, it's just an average of polls, I guess. But you know what? Hold on. They're talking, let me see specifically Iowa. Because I believe he's... Okay, New Hampshire, it looks like he's doing well as well. So I guess, look, these two first states, of course, have a lot of white people. I mean, it does. I mean, look.
Yeah, you can't ignore that.
You can't ignore. These are two of the whitest states in the country. You can't ignore that. Buttigieg seems to be doing pretty well in those states, I guess, either first or maybe second in both of those states. When you get to other states, though, when you get to South Carolina, when you get to Nevada, it's a different story, I believe. Let me specifically see what he's doing in Nevada.
I think, I want to say Bernie had a response to Buttigieg's little shindig.
He did?
Yeah, he did. He did. I think Bernie called it the wine cave. He called it the wine cave. I think he used it to put like his own little ad. So he kind of put his own little spin on it. Kind of like calling out Buttigieg in a way, saying that, hey, these billionaires are not, coming around. He didn't say you. He didn't specifically like call out Buttigieg, but he pretty much said that, hey, billionaires contribute money to people who are going to get things done for them. Pretty much along the lines of, what Bernie would say.
Yeah, in Nevada, I'm seeing that he's running no better than fourth. No better than fourth. So, do I see him winning Iowa or New Hampshire? I don't. I could see him placing second or third. I could. It's still a long way, really. I mean, we still have over a month left to go. I mean, it's at the beginning of February, which, look, it's going to feel like it's not too long away. We're virtually at the end of, in the middle of December. We've got the whole of January, and then, then we have the Iowa caucuses. Anything's possible. That he's polling pretty high in Iowa. I guess it's possible that he does win it. I don't see it happening. So, do you?
Man, I want this mug to come crashing down to reality. I really do. I think it's after these first two states, even though the demographics are in his favor, I still don't think like the amount of support he has is that high. And I just don't trust that jump. I just don't trust the jump he's had. It just seems very inorganic. It seems the jump he's had came kind of right after he had a high influx of billionaires donating to his campaign. I think at one point it went from like 11 to 37. Like what the fuck? It tripled.
Well, we still don't know. I now may still be too soon to really understand what the end of Senator Kamala Harris's campaign is going to mean. I don't know if we have a full scope of, where that support is going to go. Now, she wasn't, one of the top 3 or anything, but she had enough support to make somewhat of a difference. And, I presume that it's going to go to Elizabeth Warren, but I don't know if polls have indicated that as of yet. Maybe I haven't looked at enough polls recently where she's not in them. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I don't believe he's going to get that support. I don't believe he's going to get Senator Kamala Harris's support.
I think Kamala Harris' support most likely went to Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah. I could even say it might go to Biden.
Nah, I don't think so.
You don't think?
Not the K-Hop, dog.
I can see some.
Maybe some. Maybe some. But the vast
heart
majority.
of it? Yeah, nah.
I'm trying to look for the most recent news on who has officially qualified.
For what?
I'm
Why are you playing? This dude playing games, man. This dude is playing games, man.
What you talking about, man? We talking about
exactly who qualified. You know exactly who qualified, man. Stop playing.
So, you know what? What you really want to say is exactly who didn't qualify.
Exactly.
That's what you want to say.
So that whole, that whole post that was thrown out there, the words like, hey, no matter what, I ain't showing up. Well, you can't show up.
It's not your choice. That's the thing. You can't say, no matter what.
Yeah.
You haven't qualified.
I got better things to do.
Yeah, I'm boycotting. I'm
okay.
I'm not participating in something that I ain't qualified for.
All right.
Kid, that's a weird flex, man.
Not a good look.
That's a weird flex.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
Yeah, I mean, this is, let me see. This was yesterday. This was from yesterday.
He's still playing.
I'm just saying. I really wanted to know officially.
Oh, it's official.
She ain't coming.
She ain't coming.
Oh.
And then not only is she not coming, she can't come.
Oh, she can't.
So even if she changed her mind,
even if she wanted to, she could.
She could not come. No.
Well. I mean,
hey, those the breaks. Them the breaks, But hey, she had other plans anyways. So,
Where does she go from here? Where does she go? Seriously, what does she do? She seems to still be in the race.
Yeah.
She doesn't seem to have any intentions of exiting.
Okay, so you know what? Big move tomorrow. Impeachment vote. What are you going to do?
Because remember, what has she said about impeachment? She says it divides the country and could lead to a civil war. Now, those are very strong words. You can't, one, retract something like that. You can't go against something like that. You can't go against something like that, especially if you said something like that so powerfully. Nah, you can't.
And usually whenever she does something or whenever she supports something, it's like full-throated.
Oh, it's full-throated. There's no way she would go against something she stated so strongly. Again, it's caused a civil war, and it's going to divide the country. That's what she said.
And she already tried to, present her get-out-of-jail-free card. Hey, censure. That's what I want. Censure.
She wants a censure.
We ain't voting on censure.
That's not what we're voting on. You know what that is? See, again, this is. I'm disappointed because how she characterizes herself and how she sells herself and how she presents herself, right, is somebody who is has a strong head on her shoulders, stands up tall, back up straight. I was in the military. So she has this very kind of powerful stature to her. But her words come off as weak and wishy-washy at times.
They do.
Because what a censure tells me, this weird position she has at this moment, in regard to Donald Trump and impeachment. It's almost like she doesn't want to be put in the position to decide.
No.
That's what it seems like.
But if you think a censure is warranted, then you think that
something is wrong.
Something's wrong with
you
what
see what I'm saying? So
President Trump
it just seems as if a way she's trying to get out of,
Right.
like, taking a definitive position.
Yeah.
Which again is weird to me considering how Tulsi Gabbard is viewed and how she sells herself and how she presents herself, like very like forthright, straightforward, like everything is just like, but it seems like she's always trying to cater to people's weaknesses or a certain group's weaknesses or a certain group's sentiments and feelings.
Who is this being done for, though? Who would you
Seems
think?
weird.
Who would you
Like,
think
come
this
on.
would be done for? Because most of the Democratic Party is in agreement that, yes, they see the case for impeachment here, and they're going to vote accordingly. Democratic voters feel the same way. So who would you... Because, again, this seems like this is a decision to, even though you believe something was inappropriate concerning Trump's actions, you don't think it's best to go forward with impeachment. It seems like that's what you're setting up. So who would that be for?
And remember the last debate?
Who would that be
Remember
for?
the last debate when the question was asked about the military-industrial complex, endless regime change wars and all that, where she name-dropped Hillary Clinton. She also name-dropped Donald Trump, saying that he was a part of all that for the first time. Well, I wouldn't say for the first time, but for the first momentous time. It was on the debate stage. Now, she does not name-drop Trump in that way when she does interviews on Breitbart or Fox or Dave Rubin, though. She didn't call out Trump being a part of this war machine and supporting the military-industrial complex, but all right, I'll give her credit. She did say it on the stage, Democratic stage, and she said it most likely because she was on a stage with other Democratic candidates. But since that's the case, if that's a genuine feeling she has about Trump, wouldn't this be a good opportunity to kind of follow through? Like, you say he's a part of the military-industrial complex, so that tells me, she seems to be thinking about Trump and the dangers that he's causing in a much broader way, and not just with impeachment. She said it on stage, right?
I don't really hear Trump. I mean, I don't really hear Tulsi Gabbard criticizing Trump too much. I really don't. She
criticizes someone who is not in power, an easy target, low-hanging fruit, the lowest of the low. You know what I'm talking about. The lowest hanging fruit in this particular time period, especially when it comes to political figures that are...
The one without a political position?
Who am I talking about?
Clinton.
See, that's low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just that's on the ground.
Yeah.
That's on the ground. Like, I just didn't like this whole, I'm challenging power shtick by standing up to Hillary Clinton, even though she doesn't have a political position. She still has some,
influence.
Political cachet and influence. That's not going away. They have, for the rest of their lives, whether they ran for president or, in her case, her husband was president and she was Secretary of State and she was a senator. So she's going to have that influence for the rest of her life. So she's always going to be around, unfortunately. There's nothing we can do about that. Multi-millionaire, I think worth $45 million, something like that. So she's always going to be around.
But she's not the president.
She's
not the president making moves, making policy decisions.
So it's like, it just feels weird to why would you stand up to that? Like, why would you stand up to her as if you're standing up to
and take
power?
So much time and effort to do it, and it's no.
I'm standing up to the establishment, the world, and the military-industrial complex.
I get a
Hillary,
response.
I'm like,
I get her having a response because Hillary did let some shit, just flow from her mouth. Of course, we did talk about that. So I get the response in highlighting the ridiculousnly of Clinton's comments, but she did a little bit too much. She played it up.
It's like if somebody's, even if it's some real egregious stuff, or even if it's some flimsy stuff, if somebody said something about you in passing, right? Mm-hmm. And it was you disagree with it. All right. But damn, it just seems like she just, in her response, she just tried to milk it too much. Like we agreed like with it in principle, like hey, that was whack. You know, like keep Tulsi's name out your mouth. You're whack. You lost. Like get over it. Like keep her name out your mouth. But it wasn't like the entire interview was about Tulsi. It was some whack ass comment Hillary Clinton said in passing. Fine. It wasn't like Hillary Clinton was like, yo, I want this chick in the octagon. You know, like she said some whack ass shit in passing. Right, and it's typical Hillary Clinton shit. You know, she can't keep her mouth shut. She's always putting her foot in her mouth. So it just seemed like Tulsi tried to milk it further than what it was really for. Like, it's just weird. Like, you're not going up against Hillary Clinton. She was making it sound like she was going up against Hillary Clinton. Because she says this primary battle is about her and Hillary. That's what she said. It's about me and you. I'm like
let's move on. All right, some super chat activity. Been out front. Who pays the lawsuit? We the people do. Charge police union. So that's definitely about the second case of police brutality, police murder. You can say.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that. Yeah.
But yeah, of course, it's taxpayer money. You know, these cities, and going back to 2016, we've talked about this. How city after city, if you take a look at their records, and especially the 10 biggest cities, I think you may have put that in the article one time, maybe, or I don't know if we may have talked about it on air. Maybe it surfaced in one of the articles.
I think it was. I don't think it was I don't know. It could have been.
I can't remember.
But yeah, I think it was during the show where I was going over like the amount of payouts
in the 10 biggest cities.
Yeah, like Chicago, New York, LA.
Yeah, and the amounts over like 5 years, I think the amounts are crazy. And in a lot of these situations, officers are not charged with anything, are not fired, but $1 million settlements are dished out to families that have either had their loved ones beat by police officers or killed by police officers. It's ridiculous.
And then what makes it even more egregious is situations like Pantaleo.
Yeah.
Mike Pantaleo, is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
With Eric Garner. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just the situation. It was like everything that they offered as a justification. Like just taking themselves completely out of it. Like it was just like are you even, like, you just don't even seem to have any humanity to you. Like they said, oh, he had a bad diet. He was fat. So yeah, that's what the contributing factor was.
The move was illegal.
And remember, and he was protesting with his it's a group of fellow officers. Mm-hmm. They were protesting themselves, like they had what's that?
Like some wrong was being done to them.
And they made shirts. It was like I can breathe or some shit.
Yeah,
I can't. It was basically like
it was a slap in the face.
It was a slap in the face to somebody who they killed. Like, how do you make a shirt? That I don't.
It speaks to their belief that their authority and power is unquestioned.
And even if there's a situation where their authority and power, or they abuse it, it really shouldn't matter. We shouldn't ever raise concerns because, hey, they're just doing their jobs. Mm-hmm. And I want to say I saw a GoFundMe for him, too. I read that shit, and that shit disgusted me. I forgot what it said, but yeah, he has a GoFundMe.
All right, Gear Randon, thank you very much, Gear. Always there for us. We appreciate that. D. Scully with the super sticker and the weird little pear chicken thing.
The if Richard Simmons was a pear.
Yeah. What a body. Then the banana peel. D. Scully with the banana peel.
Maybe that has to do with Donald Trump slipping on the banana peel.
And then debate predictions. So, okay, debate predictions. We know that the debate is going to be held on Thursday at 8 p.m., I believe it is. So, 8 p.m., that's smack in the middle of our broadcast. So, we could possibly try to record on Friday to, go through the debate. Less players in the game now, of course, less people on stage, 7 people. So it should be a little bit easier for people to get in a word, have more time to actually speak.
That's good for the lower tier candidate, like Yang.
Amy Klobuchar. Even, I guess, Buttigieg, too. I mean, like I said, he's running fourth. So, but yeah, so it's going to be the top 4, Klobuchar, Yang, and Steyer.
What's weird is, because we're talking about who qualified and who didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Kamala Harris qualified.
She did, but she got up out of there.
She qualified and dropped out. Tulsi didn't qualify and she stays in.
It's a little bit about campaign strategies, because we know that Kamala Harris fancied herself as a top player, as somebody that was very relevant. She said as much. And the way she went about with structuring her campaign was like a top tier candidate. So if you're going to function like that, you're going to have to dish out a lot of money that she did not have.
I think she thought more money was coming because she did have certain types of fundraisers that would indicate that she had maybe some money coming. Like she went to fundraisers with bundlers that were associated with Obama. She went to the Hamptons. So you're like, okay, she got some big money behind her. So maybe she was expecting, more money.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, you're right. She was seen as a top tier candidate. So maybe she
spent like one.
So
whereas to people like Tulsi Gabbard and Amy Klobuchar, Andrew Yang even, they're not spending like top tier candidates. They're really relying on social media, word of mouth. That's what they're relying on to get even more support. So that's why they can stay in the race.
I agree, Fred. I don't like smears. But see, here at LTMB, we can both address smears and I guess corporate media campaigns that are, I guess, carried out on people and accurately and objectively call them out for what they are, smears, when somebody is being unfair to a candidate, Tulsi in particular. That's no question. We don't like that either. But what I don't do and what we don't do is we don't base our support of somebody simply because corporate media has, being unfair to them. We just don't do that. We don't do the backhanded support. It's like so-and-so is being unfair, so I'm going to support that person. That's just not what we do here. We look at them, I guess, comprehensively, and we look at the things that they're saying and how they present themselves, their policy, their agenda, their platform, whatever, and then we make our decision based on that analysis. We can, at the same time, point out circumstances where they were treated unfairly. You can do both at the same time. So we will acknowledge that, it's disgusting some of the things that corporate media has said about Tulsi to try to smear her, to try to discredit her.
That's not where we go.
That's not where we go. You shouldn't have to do that. I'm not going to support somebody more simply because they're being smeared. Yeah. That's backhanded support. That's just like, don't do
that. Before we get out of here, we didn't talk about last week's shootout in Jersey City.
Oh yeah.
So last week, I believe it was Tuesday, there was a standoff between 2 individuals and law enforcement. Standoff that lasted hours and ultimately ended with those 2 individuals being killed by police officers. Now, what seemed to precede this was an officer, a Jersey City police officer, was killed by these two people in a cemetery. And then after that, they made their way to a kosher market where they made their last stand and killed people in there as well. Killed 3 people that were in the kosher market. So there is not, I guess, official reports on the motivation behind the crime, but there is some suggestions. So they have poked around into their write-ins, I guess their social media behavior, and they did find some anti-Semitic thoughts. They found some anti-law enforcement thoughts, some words, and they also found that I can't say that they're officially linked, but there's some, I guess they had some positive feelings towards the Black Hebrew Israelites. As of right now, as it's being reported, they haven't found an official link between these 2 murderers and the Black Hebrew Israelites, but it is being reported that, I guess, a tentative link, is there. Like I said, I think they held positive feelings about them. So, I mean, there are many people saying that this was an anti-Semitic attack. There is some thought that they possibly could have went in there and just went in there to hold up. Again, there's not a lot of confirmation about exactly what happened, but it can be confirmed that they did harbor some anti-Semitic beliefs. So if you throw that out there and then you throw out the fact that they did enter a kosher market, I think it's, at least
plausible,
plausible,
but like looking at the rest of the situation, since it didn't start there, it's kind of weird that, like, in the midst of a shootout with authorities, that they went in there purposely. You know what I'm saying? Because that didn't seem to be their initial, I guess, direction. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That they were going in. It started in a cemetery.
Yeah.
And it ended up in the city. So I don't know.
Like I said, there's a lot that's not official, but if it is true that they held anti-Semitic beliefs and then they went into a kosher market, then, like you said, it is plausible that that was their intention, to do harm to a specific type of people and commit a hate crime.
Yeah, I think they believe like the Jews, or the people that are typically recognized as Jews, are like the fake Jews or something.
Yeah, and that's a view by...
They're the ones that got into it with the Covington boys. It was actually 2 different schools at the White House, or the White House grounds that day, where the Covington boys and some other Catholic school, they were actually, before their little engagement with Native American, they were kind of yelling back and forth with the Hebrew Israelites. So
the Black Hebrew Israelites is a broad group or a broad movement. I can't say that there's like a consensus among like everybody that I guess is associating with that movement or that group. There, I don't believe, is a lot of violence that is attributed to the group.
No, usually they're just like really loud on the street corners.
Yeah, they're annoying, like, public disturbances, stuff like that.
They get in the mic and they pretty much yell at people walking by.
Yeah.
Anybody that they can just, I guess, however far their voice travels, they'll try to get you. Specifically, they love to target white people too, white Christians, which is kind of funny. It's kind of entertaining to watch. White Jews or white Christians or whatever, but yeah, I never really associate them with violence. It's just kind of like street corner preaching.
Mm-hmm. So again, like I said, there's still a lot that I guess has to be discovered. Motivation, I don't know if a lot of, in many cases, motivation is never really ultimately found out, confirmed at least.
Especially if there's not like
some like manifesto
I was about to say.
Somebody that can speak
corroborate.
Yeah.
Like they have like a partner that didn't get killed.
Mm-hmm.
or anybody associated that wasn't involved in the actual event, but it was associated with them in general.
Right. But of course, the loss of life is tragic, And, you know, definitely if this is a hate crime, which it does seem that is probable, that, you know, that's definitely horrible as well. We saw the attack at the synagogue, that was earlier this year, I believe it was. Yeah. So hate crimes are definitely on the rise. You know, up and down the spectrum, it's on the rise. So it can be attributed to multiple different things. This particular one is not white supremacy, because this was committed by 2 black individuals. But still, the way the world is going, especially the way this country is going, is it seems, I can't even say to a more hateful place, but maybe outwardly we're seeing more hate, outwardly in actions. That's possible. I mean, white supremacy violence is on the rise. I'm not saying this is at the top margin that it's ever been in history. I'm just saying that we've seen things tick up. So. Somebody call this MSN hacks? Huh? Did anybody call us? I see somebody defending us or something. Somebody called us MSN hacks. Let's go to Final Fantasy Draft. Y'all see Pete's answer on Cops Breathe Easy shirts. Have not seen that. Have you?
What's that about, yo?
Haven't seen that.
I don't know nothing about that, man. You got called a establishment shill one time. I think I have too. It's been a while, but yeah, that's a. I guess because you had something to say about Trump, and automatically.
You know, I can't remember exactly what it was. Well, I mean, it's been a few times. I remember the first time was probably like several months after we started the live show, and then whoever told me that I was an establishment show, they used that, like, because we had about a 7-month break, something like that. And they used that break to say that, see, you took that break to take money from the establishment. See?
So you got to go on a break to do that?
Yeah, you got to go on a break. You got to go on a break and, I guess, establish yourself with the money. And then your viewpoints have to remain the same.
Like, shoot, where that money at, dude?
I'm saying, man. Please.
Where's my cut?
Shoot.
I'm looking for my cut.
I'm saying, man. All right, no, nobody called us hacks. Okay.
Man, I've been called, you know, Hillbot.
By the worst of people, though.
By the worst, like this, I've been called all kind of stuff, man. I've been called establishment shell. I've been called a Hillbot.
Just because, and one of the main things is that we don't want to believe into your conspiracy theory, whoever it is.
But that doesn't mean we're gonna like stop, you know, talking about what we talk about simply because we were improperly labeled. That's why I don't really. I mean, I understand it's wrong when people are labeled Russian bots or kind of Russian agents. I don't like that at all. But I don't think that should kind of. It should make criticizing Russia off limits. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta be objective with accusations. I don't think all criticisms of Russia is Red Scare McCarthyism. It's just not.
Moose Guy said, what do you think about Bernie wanting to save minor league baseball teams? I saw that. He had something to say about Major League Baseball making an announcement about multiple minor league baseball teams being shut down. I believe, I can't remember if it's the start of the next season, next year, or if it's going to be in 2021. I cannot remember, but it was, I believe, dozens of them that Major League Baseball wants to shut down, which I agree with Bernie. I don't believe that should happen as well. Because one, it does, you know, it's a lot of these communities love their teams, man. These teams, a lot of these teams are profitable as well. I don't really get the reason why you would shut them down. You would just shut down more opportunities for baseball players to make it to the, to the show. I don't really get the... And, I don't believe Bernie Sanders talked about one particular aspect of what Major League Baseball either was trying to do or did. And I wish I had more information, because I remember we did talk about it briefly. I think it was several months ago, but Major League Baseball is dirty, man. Major League Baseball is dirty. And one particular decision they made months ago was dirty in the way they tried to... It was pretty much a scheme on players, not having to pay them as much as they should. And it wasn't, it wasn't the Major League Baseball players making millions and millions of dollars a year. It was the minor league players. And it was dirty, but capitalism.
Yeah, I'm about to say, why would we expect these major sports franchises,
right,
who are essentially owned by billionaires, to not be engaged in this vulturistic capitalism that we talk about all the time?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to read the comment, Gene, but I get what you're talking about. I don't have access to your comment right now, but I agree. But I really don't care how people incorrectly talk about a subject. I really don't care about that. We can talk about how people incorrectly talk about a subject. That doesn't mean the subject in and of itself is, I guess, one we shouldn't broach at all. I can do that with any topic. Like I said, I was called a hillbot. That was an incorrect characterization of me. There's nobody who watches this show on a regular basis would even consider calling me that and take themselves seriously. I was called a hillbot. I was called an establishment shill. So if I was incorrectly labeled those things, should I stop talking about establishment politics? Should I stop talking about the corporate media? Should I stop talking about Hillary or anybody else that kind of has that same political mindset? No, I shouldn't. I shouldn't, simply because I was illegitimately labeled. So I understand people's apprehension about a particular topic because maybe it was run into the ground. Maybe there was maybe some false narrative surrounding it. But again, that's just when people are talking about it in a very, self-serving and incorrect way. It's not, I don't think it's responsible to completely ignore something because there's groups of people talking about that thing incorrectly. That's just, to me, that's not logical. It's kind of like people talk about Israel all the time. And if you criticize Israel, some people will label you anti-Semitic. If you support BDS, they'll label you anti-Semitic. Isn't that a smear? That's a smear. But we don't stop talking about Israel, right? There's people who talk about Israel incorrectly. There's people who use Israel as a proxy or as a platform or some sort of, defense mechanism for U.S. foreign policy. I don't care. I don't care what we're labeled. We're still going to talk about it. So I see the same thing in regards to Russia. Are we going to get to a point where if anyone criticizes anything Russia does, you're going to completely ignore it because there are some people who ran with a narrative that was self-serving or incorrect, or during the 2016 election there were some things that came out? No, you don't do that. No, you don't just completely ignore something because some group over here used it for their political benefit or used it in the media in a very incorrect way. You don't just completely ignore it. I don't think that's logical. I don't think that's sound. I don't care who got it wrong. We can talk about that. That's a different story.
So on the, we talked about this back in March of 2018. I did not realize it was that long ago. But yeah, Major League Baseball, it was about the spending bill. And what Congress members slipped into that spending bill was that Major League Baseball was going to be able to be allowed to pay minor league players just basement level salaries, basement level incomes. And the reason that they gave was because they are seasonal employees, not full-time workers. They are not unionized. Only Major League Baseball players are unionized. So minor league baseball players can't unionize and, try to craft a better deal for them. So $1,160 a month. That's what was proposed to be given to these minor league players, which is crazy, man. It's crazy. Rookie ball $1,100, Double A $1,500, Triple A $2,150. That's crazy, man. All the money that's being brought in by not just MLB teams, but by minor league teams as well. And they want to pay basement wages. Just ridiculous salaries, man. And I don't know, anything to boost profits.
A lot of those minor league players have other jobs.
It's hard to do that.
It's hard,
with the schedule.
It's hard to do that with the schedule.
Because you're in a different city.
They have to get other jobs, and it's more like seasonal.
They're traveling, on buses, public transit. It's not a glamorous life for minor league players, especially when you're in rookie ball, single A. It's not a glamorous lifestyle. All right. I think we did receive a few more. Received a few more. Mind blank. Super chats or super stickers. Mandy Sadowski with the rainbow. Thank you, Mandy. Moose Gal with the thumbs down and the nope.
Go back up. Somebody said Mike and Will were conservative. They'd be rich. Oh yeah. We talk about that all the time, Smitty.
Hell yeah.
We joke about it though. It wouldn't last for long. It wouldn't last long though, because I think it'd just be too exhausting.
We definitely be on Fox though.
Yeah, we definitely be on Fox.
Oh yeah, we might have a segment at least every week.
Yo, and it's easy too. All you do is we just dye our dreads red, white, and blue. Yo, just dye the tips red, white, and blue, and just change the color scheme of the show. Just always wear America the Beautiful, America the Great, flag T-shirts.
What if we had changed our names to Let the Patriotism Begin?
Let the Patriotism Begin.
Man, it's so easy, man. The con, man. It's so easy.
Because just we have to come up with something extravagant, some Black Patriots Unite or some stupid shit. You know what I'm saying?
Mandy the Sadowski with the is that a salt shaker?
That makes me think of Yin Yang Twins.
Yep. The Whisper song too.
Shake it like a salt shaker. Tell you, man.
What was that, mid-2000s?
They had I swear to God, they took over. Their songs took over the clubs. I swear, we used to hear at least 5 or 6 Yin Yang Twin songs every time we went out. I liked it. I didn't really care about the song. I mean, it was catchy. I just cared about.
I didn't rock it in the car.
Yeah. Oh hell no. I don't. maybe the Whisper song.
Nah, no bass really.
No. You had to have a particular type of system. Yeah. It had that drop bass. It was doom 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 doom. So if you had speakers, it hit. It just had that bass drop.
I'm thinking about. There was a. I think there was a not T.I. There was a Lil Wayne song that was hot, but it didn't have no bass whatsoever.
Was it a newer song? Was it Truffle Butter?
I don't know. I can't remember now.
No, I just like the reaction from the ladies. They would just rush to the floor.
Of course.
So obviously the probability of
that was the new hotness.
That
Get Low. I don't think there was any song. I don't think there was any song ever.
No.
Ever that made people rush the stage like Get Low? There's something above Get Low?
Maybe. I'm not saying yes. I'm saying that there's some competition. Nelly.
Which one?
Apple bottom jeans.
No.
And what's the other one? Drop down and get your eagle on, girl.
Yeah.
Drop down and get your eagle. Come on now.
Nah, it ain't competing with Get Low, dog. Get Low? Get Low stayed in the club for like 8 years. I mean,
but you know what our song was? Boom, boom, boom.
Oh, hell yeah.
That was our song. Little Scrappy? Was that Little Scrappy?
No, that was
But he was in the song though. He didn't. He do a feature.
I don't know if
it was around. They were in the same clique. It was an A-Town Stomp.
Yeah, but I can't remember the group.
What was the damn group? I bet you Lisa knows. I bet you L Train knows.
I can't remember the group name. I can't remember the group name now.
You know what? I can see chicks hating the Whisper song because that's probably some dumbass shit that y'all had to go through. Some whack ass dude whispering in the ear. Hey, little mama, let me whisper in your ear. Young Bloods. But no, I can see why chicks don't like that song. That sounds like some shit that y'all had to, some bullshit y'all had to endure for some whack ass dudes in the club. Hey, little mama, let me whisper in your ear. Tell you something that you might like.
Nah, but that wasn't even that was probably number 2, man. You know what the song was? What was it? It was like Freeway.
You got a sexy little body.
Flip Side.
Your ass looks soft. I can't believe I'm remembering this shit. Probably said some dude probably said that shit to you. But what was the flip side?
Flip side.
Yeah,
Freeway.
Oh yeah, Freeway. That was our song too.
Yeah, that was what's up. Yeah. Then they had that little concert. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Remember that. Yeah. All right, everybody. It's about that time. Wait till you see my what?
Final Fantasy.
But yeah.
Do you know Disney did a cease and desist on Yin Yang Twins? Most people don't know this. Because one of their first songs was Whistle While You Twerk.
Oh, yeah.
It was Whistle While You Twerk.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and start and make that fart and whistle while you twerk. Twerk something. It was like...
Yeah, that's that tune.
Disney did a cease and desist on that because of... That's the... what's the...
Trademark
from the seven... Was it the seven dwarfs?
Yeah.
So yeah, they had to like see they had.
I don't know.
They had to
trademark,
cut,
but maybe copyright.
Copyright. They had to cut that part out. Most likely, I guarantee you, their record label is probably connected to Disney somehow. But they didn't want that song associated with the Seven
Kids.
Dwarfs. Yeah, well, I thought it was catchy. I'm like, man, I don't. That just seems very spacious to me. Like, you can do the whistle song, you can do the whistle sound if it doesn't contain like the actual sound effect from the cartoon. Like, how do you copyright?
It's a tune, man.
Yeah, but it's a sample. Yeah. It's like any other sample.
But you got to pay for that sample.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do. You got to pay for that sample. If you sample anything, you got to pay for that sample.
No. There's a length of time. There's a length of time. I thought
if it's clear what it comes from. Oh no, you got to pay for that though. You got to pay for that. Lisa said "Get Low" was just played at a Christmas party I went to this past weekend. See,
wow,
2019, man. See, more than 8 years. I bet you it still comes in the club at least a little bit.
But you know what? You know what dance will never be trumped? You know what dance will never, ever be trumped? Just in general.
Oh, yeah,
but just in general.
Electric slide.
Yeah,
no doubt. Man. That's everywhere.
Everywhere.
They do that at the damn school dances. The daddy-daughter school dances. They do that, John.
So don't forget the second super chat.
The second super chat? What do you mean? We missed one?
I don't know. I thought we got it by Final Fantasy. Let's see.
Oh yeah, here we go. Final Fantasy. If Liz loses first 4 states, will she drop out early? I think she'll make it to. Super Tuesday. I think the top 3 are all going to make it to Super Tuesday. Buttigieg just depends on his showing. If he's really tanking, if he's really doing nothing, he probably won't. But if he, if he's placing 4th, and actually, in the first 2 states, he'll probably place better than that. I can't even say probably. It's probable. It's probable, at least. It's possible.
Yeah, evil baby Yoda, you are correct. And it depends on the terms and agreements. If it's fair use, nah. But if it's not, they'll usually have the terms and conditions attached to the sound.
But there's no fair use for that.
What? Oh, no, not for that. Maybe not. I don't
not
know.
for songs.
Yeah.
Because they're not talking about that clip. Like, we can show that clip, or we can play that clip, talk about it, but they can't include it in the song to monetize it.
It depends on how it's used. Sometimes, you can get sounds off the internet, even just sound effects, and as long as it's just not used for, like, making money.
Yeah.
You're not using this song that's
if they're trying to make money off of it,
if
they can be sued for that. Yeah. So.
But see, you can get around that by just kind of changing it around a little bit.
Did the Yin Yang Twins get around it?
I think they could have. You could if you could have got around that. Like, you could have got around that. I think they could have, if you just didn't whistle it. Dun 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 dun. I mean, there's no way that's.
Nah, it's either you pay for it or cease and desist.
Most likely had to do because it was a powerful company.
No doubt, yeah. And I don't think they wanted to be associated with the song too, because if they did, I mean, it was a
because the chorus was strong.
Exactly.
Go ahead and start and make that fart, make that P fart. I was like, okay,
if
that was
okay
just the
with
chorus.
The song, if they were okay with the song, they probably would have been like, okay, just give us a little
Basically,
piece
it's
of that.
one of those songs that talk about like busting wide open. It was a strong song. But hey, it got people dancing. I tell you what, they don't care what the song say.
All right, so like I said, on Thursday, don't believe there's gonna be a show. This is Tuesday, right? Damn. Okay. Thursday, I don't believe there'll be a show because of the Democratic presidential debate. It starts at 8:00. Friday. Hopefully we can be on, and we'll let you know. We'll put out the word on Twitter, YouTube to let you know what our plans are. But that is all we have for tonight's program. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Hope everybody was informed, possibly entertained. Thank you for everybody that was in the chat section. Thank you to all of our super chatters. Thank you to Christopher for being our only caller tonight. And also thank you to all of our patrons on patreon.com. We appreciate you immensely for always having our back and having our back financially. Enough can't be said about you. Also to all the viewers as well, because not everybody, engages themselves in calling in or even writing in the chat section. We have silent we have silent supporters, no doubt. We definitely have silent supporters out there, but we appreciate all of you that make this possible. So just wanted to say that, and like I said, we'll inform you about what the rest of the week is going to look like.
Yeah, and next week is probably going to be.
Yeah, next week.
Because you got Christmas next week.
Yeah.
It's
Tuesday is Christmas Eve.
Yeah, Tuesday's Christmas. Yeah, and then Wednesday is Christmas, I believe.
Wednesday's Christmas. Thursday, I would probably go ahead and say Tuesday no show. I would probably say that. Thursday, we'll see. I guess.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Mm-hmm. We'll let you know. I don't want to leave you just out there waiting for us, and then we don't show up. Don't want to do that. But yeah, we'll just see what next week holds.
Sometimes those days are weird. Holidays are weird because people with family and shit.
True. But yeah. Anyway, we'll let you know. If for some reason we're not on again until like next week or the week after, then hope everybody enjoys their holiday. Hopefully some time off to do whatever the hell you want to do.
Oh yeah, she says somebody who's that? Kate? Hey,
Yeah.
You say that? Kameshwari?
Yeah, Kameshwari.
Kameshwari? Is that how you pronounce it?
It's Kate.
Kate Kameshwari.
Christmas Eve is Jean's birthday.
Oh, word.
Okay.
That's what's up.
Well, a little early, but happy birthday, Jean. A little early, but hopefully we'll be able to tell you in a few days again, happy birthday. Mandy Sadowski again with the blowing of the
blowing
kiss.
of the kiss.
Haven't
Appreciate
seen that
that.
before. Thank you for the creativity. I haven't seen that one before.
Right back at you.
We've seen some pear/chickens.
Pear chickens?
Pear chickens.
With the what's the little do? What's the thing called? What's that thing called?
I don't know.
It's like the kind of the I forgot what it's called.
Oh, that was called. But that thing has it too.
Oh, true that.
Yeah.
The alfalfa looking thing.
It does look like a lemon head, doesn't it? It does look like a lemon head. That is a lemon head, isn't it?
It's a lemon head with a lemon body.
Yeah.
It's a lemon head with a body.
Okay. All right. We're going to get out of here. We will try to clip some of these videos out for you to make it a little bit easier to digest. If you haven't already, hold on, no, that's not the right one. If you haven't already followed us on Twitter, please do so. We got the Twitter handles there at SillyMike7 and at WM Gaillard. Try to stay active on it. We try to stay active.
Yeah, that junk could be tiring.
Tedious.
That could be tiring.
A little bit tedious.
Because I think the way Twitter works is I would say it's a lot better. It kind of puts you in contact with more people at one time, I think. Kind of gives more people access to each other just by the way things work.
I thought that was the same one, but no, this is Moose Gal now with the super sticker with the lemon
superhero.
Superhero. And somebody admiring the superhero.
Maybe it's a sidekick. Maybe it's...
Is that a line? Is that a line, maybe?
No, that looks like a weird cat thing.
Nah, it's this dude said a weird cat thing. I think that's a line.
Or something. Maybe it's a lime cat. It is a lime, because it makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense, lemon lime.
Yeah. So weird cat.
It looks like a weird cat thing looking lime. Lime looks something.
Yes. Funny.
I don't know, man.
Funny. Yeah, I'm gonna go with little lemon or little lime.
Lemon and little lime. Perfect combination, I guess.
All right, everybody. We'll see you hopefully in a few days, and take care. Have a good night. Peace out. We're done.